Yeah. You just start talking quietly.
Not that.
No, not yet. It's the frog special. Real quick.
I'm gonna go to class down to Junior Mahayaman here. Y'all wanna clap it up a little bit? Start class. Anybody got any questions? Nobody don't got. Y'all don't know the Bible? Oh, okay, all right.
I was trying to find the chapter verse.
Oh, okay, no sweat. If y'all got any questions, y'all let me know. I appreciate y'all letting me come down here to y'all city in Arizona. Give yourselves a hand for y'all going to school. You know, Miami, of course, he'll be here shortly, so I'll just hold it down until he gets here. And then, of course, you'll be watching online. If anybody got any questions online, you can give whatever questions they have. If don't nobody have any questions, there's a subject I can go into. So what's your question now?
Kind of, sir. My question from the book of Judges.
Mm-hmm.
It was dealing with the, I don't know how to say the brother's name right, Japhat.
Right.
I was wondering, like, how did his how did his daughter also trouble him?
Judges what?
Judges 11 and 35.
Mm-hmm. You want to read it?
No, sir.
Mm-hmm.
It says, when it came to pass, when he saw her, that he rent his clothes.
Oh, you got to go a couple verses up. I think this is when he made the vow that he would kill. So he made a vow. And a couple verses up in this chapter, Jephthah makes a vow. Let me see if I find it for you.
Okay, so I think I started at verse 30.
Yeah, read that.
Okay, verse 30.
Mm-hmm.
And Japhat vowed a vow unto the Lord,
right.
and said, if thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into my hands, then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth of the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the children of Ammon, shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it up for a burnt offering.
Now, the way you normally make a vow, you make a vow by going before the priest. So he did this personally. Like, you can't really make a vow to yourself because you can't be a witness to yourself. You can't hold yourself accountable. Your vow has to be come before the priest so they can watch it, make sure you hold to your vow. He made this vow of himself and said, you let us win over these Ammonites. The first person I see, or first thing I see, I will sacrifice. That's what he said. So now you understand. So of course they got the victory, right? So now when you read verse 35, well, read 34.
Verse 34. And Japhat came to Mizpah unto his house, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him.
So now, according to that vow, his daughter come to meet him. What does he feel he has to do?
He has to kill her.
He has to kill her. That's what he promised. And that's why he was grieved. But he was wrong for the vow, and he was wrong for killing her. He was not supposed to kill her at all.
Okay.
So your question was, why did it grieve him, right?
Oh, why did he? Why did he say she troubled him also?
Keep going. We'll keep reading it.
With trembles and with dances,
Mm-hmm.
and she was his only child.
Mm-hmm.
Beside her, he had neither son nor daughter.
Mm-hmm. So he didn't have no other children besides her. This is his only daughter. And this is who he has to kill according to his thought process. Keep going.
Okay. Verse 35. And it came to pass when he saw her that he rent his clothes
Mm-hmm.
and said, Alas, my daughter, thou hast brought me very low,
Mm-hmm.
and thou art one of them that troubled me.
So now he's saying she brought him low as one that troubled him. Keep reading.
Okay. For I have opened my mouth unto the Lord.
So did she really trouble him?
Wow, sir.
He troubled himself by doing what?
By making a vow unto himself.
That's true, but read what it says. For I have what?
If I open my mouth unto the Lord.
Yeah, sometimes you just keep your mouth shut. So he opened his mouth and he put his foot in his mouth. So that's why she didn't trouble him at all. All she was doing was coming out to see her father like any daughter would do. But because of that vow or that mistake that he made, that's why it troubled him.
Okay.
You understand? Was that it?
Concert.
Anybody else got a question? Good.
I got a question online. Shakar Shemaiwan says, Salaki, if I may, can I get a breakdown on Revelations 9:1? And what is the star specifically in this verse?
Let's go to Revelation 9:1.
Revelation 9:1. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 9 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of
Go
the
to
bottom.
Revelations 8 and 6. Start there.
You got it?
Revelation chapter 8, verse 6. And the seven angels, which had the seven trumpets, prepared themselves to sound.
Mm-hmm.
The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood,
Mm-hmm.
and they were cast upon the earth. And the third part of trees was burnt up.
So y'all know Revelations is vision. So his question is in Revelations 9 about the 9:1 about the bottomless pit. So when you see the angels and the fire being, what verse you read again?
That was verse 7.
So when it says the angel fire mingled with blood and they were cast upon the earth and the third part of the trees were burnt up, what are the trees synonymous for? People or nations. So the third part of them is cast out. So these are all things that are coming down spiritually. So it's not like fire is coming down out of heaven and burning, and this is all what's spiritually happening. So I'm starting you here so you can get the idea of what Revelations 9 is talking about. So now let's go to Revelations 9:1.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Revelation chapter 9, verse 1. And the fifth angel sounded,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And to him was given the key of the bottomless pit.
So now, when it says a star was falling from heaven unto earth, what is that talking about? Anybody know, young man? Not in this context. He's not gonna fall. In the back, you had your hand up?
Sir. I was gonna say a house shot, but now is talking about Esau.
Right. That's who's fallen from heaven to earth. So now this is him falling down, and that's why it says, and was given to him the key to the bottomless pit. What is the bottomless pit? Anybody know? Well, hell's not a literal place. Like, so you don't die and go there. So anybody have an idea what the bottomless pit is? What is the metaphor here? In the back?
Is it talking about Israel?
No, not about. We ain't no damn about. I know we messed up. We ain't that bad. That's a lot. In the back.
Low state, sir.
No, bottomless pit is a place. It's specifically talking about Europe. This is when Esau fell down, but then he's going to come out of that bottomless pit. So at one time they used to call it the Dark Ages where we rule. right? And then when Esau came out, they had what they called the Renaissance era, where they whitewashed everything. So now it says he was given the key to the bottomless pit. Keep going.
Verse 2. And he opened the bottomless pit,
Mm-hmm.
and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace,
Mm-hmm.
and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit.
So what does that mean? The sun and the air was darkened by this. When you see the sun, what is the sun synonymous for? It's for wisdom, if you don't know. If you see sun and the moon, that's synonymous for wisdom. I'll get the scripture for you in a second. So when it says, read that part again.
And he opened the bottomless pit,
Mm-hmm.
and there arose a smoke out of the pit,
Mm-hmm.
and at the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit.
So now when they came about them caves, especially in the Renaissance era, and they whitewashed all of it, our wisdom was now darkened. That's why we have to fight for it now. That's why up until you can really, ISUPK was established in 1969, but when Abba Bivens learned, he was an Israelite when he was in the South. So Abba Bivens was in the South where he learned he was an Israelite, and then he came up to New York. He got with what they call the Commandment Keepers, which was a set of brothers that was with Jewish men. They were more like Old Testament type of Israelites. They weren't radical enough. And then so him, Ariah, Yaquab started forming what today would become as ISUPK. So we start 1969, but really it started before 1969. And then you can find other stories of slaves knowing that they was Israelite, Harriet Tubman included, all of them knowing that they was Israelites, but it didn't get its foundation grounded until 69. Before that, you could just say it's like being in the low state, like being in the dust, trying to gather what's right, what's wrong, what should we do, what we should not do, XYZ like that. So that's why we had to do it, because when the white man came about that pit, all he did was devour. That's why when you read, keep reading verse 3.
Verse 3. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth,
Mm-hmm.
and unto them was given power,
Mm-hmm.
as the scorpions of the earth have power.
Mm-hmm. So now these are locusts, right? But now locusts would normally just eat what? They would just eat crops. But these locusts have powers of what?
Smoke.
No, it says powers of scorpion. I thought it said like the scorpions.
Locusts have.
When at the end of verse, when it says, and there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power as the scorpions of earth have power. So a scorpion has a sting. So now you have a locust, which locusts swarm. They come across everywhere. You ever seen a swarm of locusts? Like if you see it on TV, how they devour. Now, normally you wouldn't care about no locusts. They can't sting you. They can't harm you. But now these locusts are going to have the venom of a scorpion. So not only is it millions of locusts, they now have the venom to actually kill you. And so that's what the so-called white man did when he came out them caves. He went out about killing. He went out about torturing and taking away the wisdom or the sun from us, and then replacing it with his own wisdom, with his own son, so to speak. Caesar Borgia is one of them. Christianity, y'all understand. So keep going. Did he need any more after that, or you just needed 9 and 1?
So he just asked for 9 and 1.
Okay. So read verse 4.
Verse 4. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. Which is
why it's so important for you brothers and sisters to be in the truth. You see it, he don't want the grass or any green thing, anything that's extremely profitable. What is the profitable to? The Most High, to sum it up for you. So as y'all are in this truth, you won't suffer the way those in the world will suffer. You won't get that sting. You won't get that poison. Now, before you came into the truth, you did. All of us would probably have horror stories of what our life was like before we came into the truth. And then you come into the truth, and then you become the green thing that he would not hurt. Everybody understand? I'll take the next question.
Comment, sir. We have Joseph Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Said, may I get a breakdown of Jude chapter 1, verse 9? The water cap.
No sweat. Let's get Jude 1 and 9. Any questions in the room? What you got?
So like, Cap, could I get a breakdown of John 14 and 1?
Okay, we'll do that right after we do this. Would you 1 and 9? Somebody also get Zechariah 3 and 1. But you can get Jude 1 and 9. Whoever has it can read it.
It's the book of Jude, chapter 1, verse 9. Yet Michael the archangel, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses, durst not bring against him a railing accusation, but said, the Lord rebuked thee.
Now, does he just want a general breakdown of this verse? That's what he's asking for?
All
right, so now it says, yet Michael the archangel, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses, does not bring about against him a railing accusation. Does anybody know what this is?
All right. Clap it up. You have a beautiful school here. Clap it up for the school. Brothers and the sisters. Excellent sign out front. I'm absolutely impressed. Now I will answer your questions. Let's get it. Who's first? Anything online? Let's have it now. You got it in the back up? Go ahead. I'll take it now.
The book of Jude, chapter 1, verse 9. Yet Michael, the archangel, was contended with the devil. He disputed about the body of Moses.
What's your question about in specific?
It was an online question, so they wanted a general breakdown of
it. Okay. This is a general breakdown. You might need to go up 1 or 2 verses. Try that first.
Verse 7. The book of Jude, chapter 1, verse 7. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire.
Okay, let me just try to give you an example. This is the New Testament and the brothers that wrote the New Testament, namely the Apostle Paul, trying to use the Old Testament as an example to things that we should follow or things that we should not follow. You understand? So he's going back to Sodom and Gomorrah. Of course, all of you in here know that Sodom and Gomorrah fell because of homosexuality, because of their lust to be rapists of men. And homosexuality because they refused to stop. And because there were so few of them in the city that even wanted to change, namely Lot, his wife, and his daughters, the Most High killed everyone else in the entire city. All right. So he's using that as an example so that we don't become homosexuals today. Because if we do the things that they did in Sodom and Gomorrah, the same judgment will happen to us. You get that point, right? Continue.
Verse 8.
If anyone has a drink, I'll take it now, but no rush. The water, I appreciate it. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Likewise, also these filthy dreamers defiled the flesh, despise dominion, and speak evil of dignities.
Likewise, meaning just like in Sodom and Gomorrah, these people that he was dealing with at that time, these filthy dreamers, they did what?
Defiled the flesh.
They defiled the flesh, meaning the people that he was battling thousands of years after the fall of Sodom and Gomorrah, they were just like those filthy people in Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, what did he call them? Filthy dreamers. That's what he said. Filthy dreamers. Now, let me think of what organization? An international organization that, they're the dreamers. They're the I have a dream people. They're the people that don't think about the world in the way it is, but they think about the world and how they wish it could be. How everyone should hold hands and come together and love one another. How all races should be together. Dream, I have a dream. These filthy dreamers are back today. They're back again. Like these disgusting sodomites. They're here again. And just like Sodom and Gomorrah, what is one of the main viruses that runs to the Christian church? Homosexuality. Homosexuality. Paul is saying they were doing it in Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, and likewise, they're doing it in his time, just like the people in Sodom and Gomorrah. I appreciate you, Warrior. Everybody gets it, right? Now, what you should be looking at is it's happening in your time as well. Sodomites are here again, and they're the same dreamers. They think we're gangsters and killers and evil, but they're, the good, wonderful people because they're the dreamers. Continue.
despise dominion,
Go
and
ahead.
speak evil of dignities. Verse 9. Yet Michael, the
Stand back
archangel-
1 second. Give the Scotch a hand. The water, they went out for the good Scotch. Boom. So now they do what? Speak evil of dignities. What does that mean? Who would like to explain? Just like in Sodom and Gomorrah, they speak evil of dignities. Let's take it to Sodom and Gomorrah. Who was spoken evil of by wicked bastards, wicked dreamers in Sodom and Gomorrah? Officer? Lot, give him a hand. Lot lived in Sodom and Gomorrah, vexed daily by their wicked conversation. Imagine what he went through. You know it already because you're here in America. You can't even turn the TV on without seeing two men kissing. Like it's impossible to even turn on the TV or to watch a movie. You got to sit there with the remote in your hand to fast forward because because it's a gay scene, I think, in everything that is telecasted or broadcasted anywhere. So you damn near have to be ready to fast forward because someone will be gay in this movie or TV show somehow. Well, it vexes you, right? You can't stand it, right? That's what Lot went through. Lot was in Sodom and Gomorrah. The Bible says he was vexed every day. Vexed. And they came and they spoke evil against him. That's also in the Bible. When they said, well, first of all, hold right there and give me the wicked thing that they said to Lot. Officers, you should know where this is. When they came to rape the two men that came into Lot's house who were angels, Lot offered his daughters instead. That's the kind of hospitality that we learn in the Israelite school of UPK. Those two men came under his roof, under his protection. And he'd rather die and have his children raped than to have these sodomites rape these two men. And he offered his daughters to them. But they didn't want his daughters because they were homosexuals. They didn't want his daughters. They wanted to have sex with those two men. And when he offered his daughters, this is what they said to him. Thou come into our city, or thou come amongst us, Captain?
I got it, sir. Genesis 19 and 9. You want me to start when he offered the daughters?
No, right after that, please.
Genesis 19 and 9. And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came into sojourn, and he will need be a judge. Now we will deal worse with thee than with them.
Lot was trying to stop them from raping men. He was trying to stop them from doing an extremely evil thing. And they hated him for it. They hated him for trying to stop them from being gay.
Right.
That sounds real familiar to me. Very familiar to me, Captain. I believe you've been through that once or twice, right? Trying to tell someone to stop being a homosexual,
Right.
Stop being a lesbian, stop eating pork, stop eating shrimp, stop being a murderer, stop being a thief and a liar. And you know what they tell us every time? You can't judge me.
Right.
Don't judge me. You ain't my judge. You can't judge me. Read what they said again in Sodom and Gomorrah.
And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came into sojourn, and he would need to be a judge.
You came in here to live with us. That's what sojourn means. Meaning you came to live in our city. You came to live in it's an amazing homosexual demon. How far are we from Las Vegas? That's a terrible place too. Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Arizona. I'm sure you ain't doing so hot down here either with homosexuality. Like it's a vile, disgusting thing. And it basically goes wherever the fruit of child molestation goes. Right. You know, once these kids get molested, you know, they just grow into prostitutes. Women become prostitutes and promiscuous. And down here, you got an amazing prostitution problem in Phoenix, Arizona. It's disgusting. And the minute you molest enough children, homosexuality, of course, will, you know, destroy the entire city. It's happening right now in Phoenix, Arizona. Lot came to the city, man, lived among them, and tried to get them to change, which should be an act of love, or at least considered an act of love to the people you're doing it for. Nah, they hated him for it. And that's why they hate you, and that's why they hate Commanding General Yohana, for trying to help them, for trying to change them. They said, what again?
And he would need to be a judge. Now we would deal worse with thee than with them.
We were going to rape those two men. Now we're going to be worse to you. Now they threaten to rape Lot. At that moment, the angels heard it inside. They reached outside the door, pulled Lot inside, and said, "Get your stuff and get up out of here, man. We're going to deal with this city now." And that was that. And Sodom and Gomorrah became a dent in the ground. And that is that. Everybody understands. It's important that you understand why, because this is the future of America. This is the future of Great Britain, the future of Puerto Rico and Spain and Mexico, the future of all of the evil governments of the other nations that have oppressed us and forced their lust into our houses. They hate us for it. They hate us for trying to stop it. Everyone understands. So he's comparing how people hate him and his men to how they hated Lot in Sodom and Gomorrah. Everybody understands, right? Continue. Now go back to the question, please.
Look at Jude, chapter 1, verse 9. Yet Michael, the archangel, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses.
So now you know the dignity is Lot, like the term dignitary, someone who's an ambassador who's sent to a city to represent a foreign power. That's your life. That's what you're living every day here in Arizona. As anyone can tell, we're not from here. Everyone can tell that. You can go go to your job. Everyone goes, "What in the hell is he in? What you up to?" I don't know if you're a gang or a biker or a cult or all three. I don't quite know what you're in, but I know you're something. Forget about you sisters. They think you're just stupid and just, Mormons, I guess. They think all of y'all are just a bunch of nut Mormon crazy people. And everyone knows that we're foreign here. Like, we're not like them. Everybody understands that, right? And so now, because of that, they think that we should become like them, that we should change ourselves for them. We will not, because we are foreign dignities. We're not from here. We're from Yashar Allah. We're from Israel. Everybody understands that. We're here to bring you to Israel. We're not here to become like you. Now, Lot was in Sodom and Gomorrah. They should have treated him like that. But instead, they hated him and threatened to rape him, right? Well, when Satan was battling with the archangel Gabriel, or Michael, Salakia, when Satan was battling with the archangel Michael over the bones of Moses, even Michael did not bring a railing accusation against Satan. That's the point. He's trying to tell you how evil these people are to talk in such a terrible way about good and decent men, when even the archangel Michael didn't talk that way about Satan. But look at how you talk about us. Look at what the things that you say about us. Do you know what I've heard about us? Let me give you a couple, all right? I'll give you a couple. Just recently, I was thinking of laughing with Commander General Yohana. It might have been about 5 years ago. Someone said, before this statement, I didn't even know what this was. They said that I was a human trafficker. Now, before that, I didn't even know what human trafficking was, because that term wasn't around when I was a kid. I don't remember the term. I remember pimping, right? But I don't remember human trafficking. And they said, well, man, somebody went on the internet and said, General Mahayaman is a human trafficker. I said, what in the hell is that? I sell people? I tried to get it till the brothers broke it down to me. They said it's like shipping women in crates somewhere, right? Like putting broads in crates and shipping them over to Russia. I said, well, damn, that's something to say. Like, that is a hell of a thing to say about somebody. Right. This is the one the brothers told me about 3 weeks ago. They said that Captain Tazariak was in a rape case. He was convicted in a rape case. And I went to the rape case with him every day and supported him in the rape case. I said, well, I've never been to a traffic case with Tazariak. I ain't never helped him fight a ticket or nothing. I don't even know what the fuck. And the sister, she was in the council crying because she listened to them saying this and went and told other people about it. I said, a rape, and I helped him with it. All right. Yeah, okay. I don't recall helping him fight a ticket. I know my memory is terrible, but I don't think it's that bad. It was another one. You would think. It was another one. Oh, I heard about it the same night. Oh, said General Hazayan is a child molester and goes and buys girls to have him massage his back with hot oils. I said, damn, I know the brother got a hurt back. He worked a lot of years and was a hard-working brother, but I think he can get his rib to rub that back down. I don't think he needs to go buy the children. I said, buy the kids to rub his back. I said, what he is getting the kids just to rub him down because his back's so goddamn sore. Oh, it was one more. I forget. I mean, it was. I've heard 1,000 things. I remember back when Commander General Yohana had dreadlocks down his back. You remember that, right? They said he wears dreadlocks because he's a Rastafarian. I said, I mean, and he's on tape, like meaning you could turn the YouTube on and look at him, and to see he has braids, but still. And it's been 1,000 different things, and over and over and over again. Listen, Michael didn't lie like that about Satan. You understand? Why would you say something like that about men who are here to help you? Why would you say such evil things about us?
Right.
Why would you do that? When Michael wouldn't say that about Satan, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. If you jog my memory a minute, I'll think of 1,000 different things. Forget about a couple of, all types of crazy charges I didn't have over the years. Right. Yeesh. Everything. Every terrible thing that you can possibly understand. Anytime somebody died, my phone got a ring. Anytime somebody get killed or get assaulted, some cat got hit busted in the head in Baltimore, busted him upside the head on the street. Well, lo and behold, here come the FBI, come to talk to me as if we bust somebody in the head. Some cat get killed over here. Something happened to somebody over there. Before you know it, the phone has to ring all the time because we always are the ones that did it. Everybody says we did it. We did it. We did it. You wouldn't talk like that about Satan. You wouldn't do that to him. That's Paul's point. Right. Everybody understands. That's the point. All right. Go ahead. Unless we're done. Was that his question?
Come on, sir. That was the question.
All right. Next. Please.
If I could, sir, I wanted to know if I could precept Daniel 8:21, speaking about the goat, with Matthew when Christ comes back and he separates the goats from the sheep.
I just remembered the women beatings. That's all the time. The women beatings are. Listen, I was on the phone with a Russian reporter, right? This is a broad from Russia, a devil from Russia, and she wanted to interview Commander General Yohana. So usually in my service for Commander General Yohana, I go and pre-interview the people that want to interview him, right? So I'm on there with the Russian woman. She's struggling with English, and I'm in there struggling with Russian, trying to look it up and understand this goddamn Russian. And she says that we heard that you force your wives to walk 2 feet behind you and that you beat your women and that your women are not allowed to talk. I said, have you met any of my wives? I don't know. I think they never shut the hell up. I laughed so hard. I said, oh, our wives. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Russian lady. Our wives, all they do is agree with us and never say anything and keep their mouths shut and just do what we say all the time. That's a dream I would like to live one goddamn day. But as far as I know, the woman does whatever the hell they feel like doing, regardless of what the hell I say. But I got to talk to this Russian as if our wives are just, yes, my Lord, no, please, give me a beating this Tuesday, not Wednesday. Can I have my Tuesday beating on Wednesday? So I said, have you met a sister in the UPK? Have you ever met one? I think they say and do whatever the hell they goddamn feel like doing, and you tell them stop, and they say, anyway, I'm doing it any goddamn way. But once again, this Russian has heard about us like we give beatings out every damn day. Women can talk. They got to walk 2 steps. I don't know what the hell a 2-step behind thing is. But I done heard that for years, and then the Russian goddamn said it. 2 steps. I think somehow that's good, or I don't even understand why the hell it means something. Why do you need to be 2 steps in front of the damn woman? I don't know. Okay, but somehow it's a big thing. All right. I've just never heard of anyone doing it in here, but we've been accused of it, for 20, 30 years. You get the point, Lahab. Salakia, go ahead.
It's like Daniel 8:21. The rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. So I just wanted to know if I could precept this with Matthew 25,
Mhm.
If I can pull it real quick. I don't know.
Go ahead.
Matthew 25, and I'll start from 32.
Mm-hmm.
And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them from another, as a shepherd divided his sheep from the goats.
And you want to use goat to be the heathens.
Specifically.
Okay, no. This precept is not talking about that.
Okay, come on.
Yeah, the precept that you're referring to is not talking about other nations at all. It's talking about people who are in the truth and people who are not.
Okay.
That's what that precept is talking about. So, but the rough goat is talking about Alexander. All right, but it's just not a precept for that scripture. Good to go. The reason it's goat in that scripture is because goats and sheep look alike. You get the point, right? Goats and sheep look alike, and since they look alike, you might be confused on the difference, but the Most High is not confused. And so that scripture is not talking about heathens at all. It's talking about brothers who are in the truth and sisters in the truth, and those who are not. We're going to be separated from them. The goats die, the sheep live. All right, good to go. In the back right here, you were.
Yes, sir.
Please.
So I watched one of your classes and you were talking about how you were in the gym
Mhm.
and then you saw the people and then you thought to yourself that these are people who run towards pleasure and away from pain.
Mhm.
I just wanted to know if you can like go into it deeper to like better understand exactly what you're talking about.
And there's 1,000 precepts about this. You can look up brute beasts made to be destroyed. That might be a good one for you. Someone pull that. Carnal. That's a good word for it. Okay. Let me try to explain in a nutshell. Some people are ruled by their body. They're ruled by it, by what their stomach wants, their penis wants, their eyes want, their mouth wants. Those people run towards pleasure constantly. Drug addiction and alcoholism are two excellent examples of that. Drug addiction is a terrible demon. Like, I really can't put it into words how horrible it is to be a drug addict or an alcoholic. It's a powerful demon. Powerful. Most of us in this room, our lives have been affected in some way negatively by drug addiction and alcoholism. Like, it's strong. And the root of it is someone who runs towards what feels good, right? What feels good. You might look at a fish and you might think, why in the hell would this fish bite this worm on this hook? He's a fish. He sure knows that people out here trying to catch him. I mean, they know that throughout all time and generation that they have to be careful because people fish. Yet and still, that worm works every time. Every time that fish is going to bite that worm, he has to. Do you understand? Knowing the risk, knowing that some of these worms are actually have hooks in them, but he has to do it. He's compelled to do it. Well, don't think that that's too far from drug addiction or alcoholism or your addiction to sluts and whores that you can't give up. You just can't stop. You know it's wrong. You know you should stop. You cry about it afterwards, yet at night you're back on social media looking for another whore. You are the fish, and you can't stop. You are going to bite that hook. You're going to do it. Why? Because the hook looks like a worm, and you're chasing pleasure. What else do you do? In the pursuit of pleasure, you have to run away from pain. What would hurt? Not getting high. Right. That's painful. It's painful to go without alcohol when you have an addiction to alcohol, although it is destroying your life and destroys your father's life. But you can't go through the hurt, the pain that it feels to want a drink so bad. It feels like your skin is itching and you're uncomfortable and you can't barely sit in a chair because you need a drink so much. You can't, fly on a plane because you need to smoke. Your whole life is spent in the ghetto because you cannot travel outside the ghetto because you need to smoke every 15 minutes. It rules your life. So you can't fly. You can't go on long bus rides. You have to stay in your neighborhood so you can have the pleasure that you must have every day because you can't handle the pain of not getting that pleasure. Do you understand? And that's the majority of people in this world. running away from the pain of going without something they want. A lot of you, that's where your depression stems from, especially your sister, you sisters. You got your husband has another wife. He has another wife, and that hurts you. You're so hurt by that. And because that hurts you so much, you go into such a deep depression about something that every woman on the planet Earth of every race has been through since Adam. All of them have been through it, but this hurts, so you can't handle it. You can't handle anything that doesn't satisfy your vagina or your mouth. You can't go through it. If it hurts, if it's unpleasant, if it's not desirable, you just can't take it at all, which is why you jump from job to job, argue every day on your goddamn job. Why? Because something happened you didn't like on your job. Something happened that you didn't want to happen on your job. So it's time to fight with everybody and argue with everybody everywhere because the Popeyes chicken, they didn't give it to you when you wanted it. You wanted it 15 minutes and they gave it to you for 20 minutes. You can't take that pain of waiting. The pain of waiting for a thing. The pain of not getting what you want. You run away from it and you run towards pleasure. Everyone understand? Give me brute beast made to be destroyed. That might be there. Officer in the back. You can read it. Whoever has it. Let the brother read in the back. Go on.
2 Peter chapter 2, verse 12.
And get carnal. It might be carnal minded. That might be the word I'm looking for. Someone find that. Go ahead.
Sir. But these, as natural brute beasts, made to be taken and destroyed, speak evil of the things that they understood not, and shall utterly perish in the uncorruptible.
That's a perfect precept for what we went through earlier. These being natural brute beasts. What does that mean? Natural. Who wants to break it down? Natural. Your penis gets erect when you see this. So, of course, when someone tells you that you can't do it, you disobey that because this is what turns you on. So you really have no choice, right? You have no choice because this is just who you are. This is just what you like. You like this, right? Of course, you ignore the fact that someone made you like it. Your child molester chose your sexual proclivity. He chose your orientation. He chose the kind of person that you would be attracted to. He chose it. But in your mind, you like it, and so you have to have it. You love eating pork, right? Your grandmother ate pork. You love eating pork, and so really, there's nothing that can be done about it, can it? You just have to have pork because you like it. You are natural. You understand? All you are is flesh. That's it. There's nothing inside of you. You're empty and shallow and vapid, and there is no good that you could ever do to anyone else because all you are is what flesh and bone is. That's it. Everybody, that's what natural. Natural what? Read the next word.
Brute beast.
Brute beast. What does it mean to be brute? To be stupid, to be dumb. All you do is just run headlong into whatever you want. And that's why we were almost wiped out as a people with AIDS. Blacks and Hispanics, man. I don't know how the hell we got through the AIDS epidemic. They ran as fast as they could to make that AZT, or else it would have been none of us here. They ran to make it because AIDS damn near wiped all of us out. Why? Because of your lust, because you're just a dumb animal. That's it. Just like a rutting pig. You ever see a dog like when a dog smells another dog in heat? That's you. That's how you are. You're nothing but that. He just can't stop. He has to have it. He runs headlong into it. That's another precept. Come on up.
I got the precept of carnally minded.
What does that say? Let me hear that.
It says Romans chapter 8, verse 6. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace.
That's what I need. Carnally minded is running towards pleasure. Right? You like it, so that's what you do. Right? You want things to be a certain way. You want your husband all to yourself. Okay, that is what you want. I got you. Hell, everyone wants a ton of things. Right? You can want a man that only has one wife. But come to find out, you had sex with a man that had 2 or 3 wives. I know that shocks you, but he had other women when you met him. But you wouldn't have had sex with him anyway. You don't like your man having more than one wife, but your man had 3 wives when you married him. Why would you ever do that? Who wants to answer the question? Why would a woman who doesn't want a man that has more than one wife have sex with a man who has more than one wife and then is angry at him every day of the marriage for having more than one wife? Why would she have sex with him? Who wants to blow my mind and give me the answer? Give him a hand. Yes. It's a well-spoken, well-educated young man. Now, let me elaborate a little more if I could. She runs towards pleasure. She was attracted to him. So she didn't care at the time about how many wives he had. That had not, she is the fish who bites the hook. At the time when she wanted to marry him, all she knew was he was attractive. I really want to marry him. I really have to have him. I really have to have him. Whoop! And then when she marries him, see, I can't deal with this lifestyle. This lifestyle is just, I don't agree with this. You don't agree with it. I had 7 wives when we met. You don't agree now because you had to have sex with him because that was pleasurable, and being married to him is harder. So now you run away. So now you leave the same man that you had to have 3 weeks ago, 2 months ago, the brother who you had to be with. You couldn't stop. About what, 2 years later, he is your worst enemy in the world because he's exactly the person that you married. You run towards pleasure and you run away from pain. Everybody understands, all right? Carnal minded is good. You got it now, right? All right, we solid here? So what, the next question, give me a question online if you don't mind, all right? I'll get you in a second, all right? Go ahead, Al.
Come with concert. This question is from Captain LeBun. He says, Shalom. If you could, sir, explain the difference between a concubine and a wife, and at any point, can you give your concubine away?
No, you cannot give your concubine away at all. The concubine laws are laws that we had in Israel, or to be more specific, rules we had about how we conducted ourselves when we killed one another in war. This was during a time when Israel had many wars with each other. The blacks and the Hispanics, much like today, we hated one another, hated each other so much, and blacks and Hispanics fought, constant wars back then with each other. We were in the same nation, worshiped the same God, and would kill each other over disputes. There was a time when Manasseh went and had a revolution against the Midianites. And Manasseh did not invite, I believe, the tribe of Judah to the revolution. And at the end of it, Judah was angry at Manasseh and contemplated going to war with Manasseh because Manasseh didn't invite them in the revolution. Manasseh did it by themselves. Manasseh being the bull or the Cubans, they didn't invite Judah, and Judah was offended and wanted to go to war with the Cubans or the Manassites. And this is a story in the Bible with the prophet, what's that good brother in the Bible? Gideon or Gediawan in the Hebrew. This went on time. Forget about David. David said his hands were too stained with blood to build the temple. What blood stained his hands? Ephraimite blood and Benjamite blood, Puerto Rican blood and West Indian blood. And he was so ashamed of it at the end that he couldn't build God's temple and had to wait for his son Solomon to build the temple. So that's the environment you have to put yourself in, right? Put yourself in that environment. These people are not in the truth. You understand? They're not following Christ. They don't understand Christ. They don't get it. So these are the rules that we had among each other and the rules that our prophets gave us. When you have to go kill your people, don't allow, if you see one of his daughters and she's pleasing to you, you can marry her. Why is that important? Because our laws dictated that you had to go to the father to get permission to marry his daughter. But in this particular case, you've killed her father. And so there's no one to ask. So in that case, you can go and you can take her, bring her into your home, take off her bloody, dirty clothing because her family has just lost the war. So she's dirty and bloody. Shave her head. Why would you shave her head? Because her hair is matted with blood and dirt because her family just lost this war. Think of a civil war, feuds. Those were constant in the Bible, constant feuds all the time, just like today. Same thing. Some Hispanic gang against some Judite gang, some Hispanic gang against the Crips or the Bloods or blah, blah, blah. We did that all the time, every day. And there were rules. And these were the rules. You could marry a girl whose parents you killed in the war. You won. Rather than her just being, nothing and having no one to take care of her, you can marry her. You cut her hair off because her hair is disgusting. You could take off her robes of her bondage off of her because she lost the war. You could put a new dress on her. You cut her nails. Why would you cut her nails, sisters? Simple, logical. Why would you cut her nails? Because they're full of blood and disgusting, because her family, she's the survivor of a massacre that you had. And you won the massacre. Like David won so many of them. David brung the tribe of Benjamin to bear. You understand me? He made them heal. David made the Puerto Ricans heal. They did not want him to be king. They refused. Look up, tell me how long David was king over a unified monarchy. He was king, I think, 35 years. And how much of that time was he king over the entire nation? And then you'll understand how many wars he had to fight and how many Israelites he killed to be king over one nation. When you get it, you can find that's the and you can't give her away. Now, once again, who would be a concubine today? No one. There is no sister that could be a concubine today at all, because you're not allowed to kill your people. That's not something that you can do, because you are in the truth. So you're not allowed to get in a feud and to kill, your neighbor because you're disputing over, land, or disputing over some insult that you believe you suffered, and now you kill all of his family. That you cannot do. Please.
It says that King David reigned over Israel 40 years.
How long did he rule over a unified kingdom? So of that 40, how much of it was unified? Bro. Look it up for me. If you read it to me, and that's what it says. Fine. The water. So then how many of those years? So 7 of those years, he's killing Puerto Ricans, killing Gadites, killing West Indians, killing the house of Saul, wiping them out. You get the point? Until they finally decided to allow him to be king over all 12 tribes. All right, you can just look this up for yourself, all right? So you could never let her go, nor could you even have a concubine, nor is a white woman a concubine, of course. That's something the Black Panthers made popular, thinking that they hated the man, so they went to have sex with his daughter, because then somehow that was revenge for slavery. I don't even understand that, but that's what they thought, and it is, of course, not. Marrying a white woman and making her your snuckle bunny is not revenge for 400 years of slavery. You giving some white woman a child support check for the rest of your life is not revenge for slavery. It's just you running towards pleasure and running away from pain. Everybody understands, right? Next question, please. What's his head, warrior? Right. Okay, throughout, I appreciate it. Let me get the other brother, I think, you got another one online right here, then I'll get another one online. You are.
General, could I get a breakdown on John 14:1?
Mm-hmm.
My question was,
if you don't mind, just a tiny throughout. Someone else can have that if they want it. Go ahead.
My question is, what does it mean to believe? And if I could precept that with 1 John, the 5th chapter, verse 1.
Okay, let's have it.
It's the book of John, chapter 14, verse 1. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me.
You want me to break this down, or is there a question?
Oh yeah, my question is to believe in is believe in action, Autobahn?
Absolutely, belief is an action, right? Without belief being an action, everyone could say they believe. If believe is some thought in your head, then who doesn't believe? Everybody believes in everything, because no one has to prove it, right? Belief, real belief, is an action. It's not. I appreciate it. It's not something that. See me one more time, warrior, please. Whoever has it. But real belief is faith. Real faith, and faith is something you have to prove. You get the point. Was that your question?
My question was, could I precept that with 1 John? 1 John the 5th chapter.
Let me hear it. Let me give you a way that you need to prove something that you might realize, right? All of us have been in the world before, right? And most of us have done very terrible things in the world, horrible things. I appreciate it. Sometimes you will feel guilty about those things. Right? Sometimes you'll look and you'll think about what you've done in the past, and it will haunt you. It'll chase you because you'll think about the kind of person you were and the things that you've done. If you are doing that, then you don't believe that Christ died for the sins of Israel and everything you've ever done is gone. That's belief. It's a discipline. You understand? One day you'll be faced with, okay, I was a prostitute, I was a murderer, I was a liar, I was a sodomite. Now I'm in the truth. Do I really believe that Christ died for my sins? Is that man gone? Because if he's not really gone, then of course you will every day be vexed and hurt and depressed over things you've done in the past. And if you are doing that, you don't really believe. You don't believe it. Believing it would be, I have never done those things. Right. You understand? It never happened. Whoever that was that shot your cousin up, that's between you and him. That has nothing to do with me. Please believe it. I walk around Philly fine. I don't feel anything. Do you understand? I feel nothing at all for anything. I'm not guilty because I believe. Let me give you another one, sister. This one happens all the time. Ooh, it's just on the tip of my tongue. Oh. If you ask any sister in the truth who is married, how many men has she been with? A sister who believes will only give you one answer. Right. You understand? One man. You get my point? Yeah. Now that's a discipline. Right. That's the discipline. She has to say she's married now. Now there was some other woman that had sex with everybody for the Phoenix Cardinals or the Phoenix Suns. She was with them. I don't know who that is. You get my point? I'm with him. How many men have I been with? One man. My entire life, I've been with one man. That's a discipline. And when you don't have that kind of discipline, you behave like a woman who was promiscuous in the past and who has had sex with many men. And so what happens now? Now that she's married to you, now she acts like the ghosts of those men are still here. They're here. So you're married to her and you're like, well, baby, why are you treating me like this? Well, I'm treating you like that because you know my baby's father, he used to abuse me. Who abused you? What are you talking about? You were with somebody before me? I never abused you, so who abused you? Well, I treat you like that because you know my baby's father, he did this to me. And my ex, your ex, what are you talking about? So you mean you're treating me evil and I have to forgive you because some other man made you do this to me? Nah, I'm the only man you've ever been with. So now you have no reason to treat me poorly because you've never been with anyone except for me. So now you can just deal with me based on how I treat you, not how your exes treated you or your first man you ever fell in love with or that man who abandoned you, because that never happened to you. That's a discipline. You get my point? That's real belief. And when you come into the truth, you will be faced with it. Whether or not you really believe in being born again. You're getting a new name. Do you really believe you're a new person? We'll see. We'll see. You understand now. Anything else? Please.
Okay. This is the book of 1 John, chapter 5, verse 1. Whosoever believeth that Yahushua is the Christ is born of God. And everyone that loveth him, that begat, loveth him also.
Is this the one I need to break down?
Could this be the one that I can precept with?
Okay, yes, you can. Absolutely. Absolutely. Come. And belief, once again, is an action. It's something you do and something you prove. All right. Questions online?
We got a question online. Do you have any scriptures that shows how the vows are done with them going to the priest?
how the vows are done, you can go to Hebrews, right? Hebrews, the 7th chapter, to prove that priests take a vow. Priests after the order of Melchizedek. Levite priests did not take a vow, but the priests now do take a vow. I would probably go to Hebrews 7. If you want to know where our vow comes from, you go back to Aaron, when Aaron was raised up as being a priest. That prayer that we say, the anointing prayer we have in the school, is the prayer that was said when Aaron became a priest and his head was anointed with oil. All right. Those are the two things if you need it. Give me the one in Hebrews quickly. All right. For they are not priests without an oath. That's what you need. All right. Everyone, if you need, then you look up the word oath in your Webster's dictionary. All right. Give me those two things, and I think that should suffice.
Look at Hebrews chapter 7, verse 21.
Mm-hmm.
For those priests were made without an oath.
What priests were made without an oath? The priests back in the Old Testament, which were Levite priests, Levitical priests, meaning they were all born priests because they came from a certain man. They were of the tribe of Levi, and that made them priests of some fashion, right? They didn't have land. They didn't work any slaveries. They ate from the altar. Everyone gave the priests their tithes and their offerings, and that was their income. But they didn't do anything to get it. They were just simply born priests. Everyone understands. Like a royal family. Think about it like that. Like that broad over there in England, and all them ugly kids she got with the red hair, and what are those ones over here. They're just born royalty. So they're going to be rich because of who their grandmother is. Everyone understands, right? Read that part again and continue.
For those priests were made without an oath.
Mm-hmm.
But this with an oath by him that said unto him, the Lord swear and will not repent.
Those priests were made without an oath, but this with an oath by him that saith, the Lord sweareth and will not repent. Who can break that down for me? The Lord sweareth. This is an important thing to understand. Everyone, if you don't know, when you got to receive your Hebrew name, 3 priests stepped up on the podium. An elder priest, a high priest, an elder priest, and the youngest priest. And the eldest priest the high priest anointed your head with oil. We said a prayer, the same prayer that was said before Aaron. We say your name 3 times. Where's the 3-time precept? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue somewhere. Remind me later. I'll give you the 3 while we say it 3 times, right? I don't remember. It's when Ezekiel, is it Ezekiel? Elijah laid on this boy's dead body 3 times, and the boy came back to life, right? That's why we do it, right? When you step up and you do that, it's an oath. You're making a promise to God, and he will not repent. He won't take it back. It's an oath, right? It's an oath. Once you do it, you're locked into it. He will not repent. Everyone knows what repent means, right? Repent means you regret doing something, and because you regret doing it, you make it go away. When you take an oath, you're locked into it. He won't repent. Now, you in your ignorance, you might regret taking that oath. I've seen men regret it. I've seen sisters regret taking the oath. They were eager to step up and take the oath because they knew that it was good to come into the UPK, because now we solve all of your problems. If you're behind on your rent money, Commander General Yohana helps you with your rent. You need help with your kids in school. We go down to your school and we talk to the principal and we handle all of your issues. You need companionship. Now you have it. You need a family. Now you have it. You need brothers and sisters. You have it. So you were eager to step up and to take that oath. Why? Because you run towards pleasure. But then adversity came. Then problems start. Then the burden of the oath is on your back. Now the requirements are in your face. Now you have to hurt because of this oath. And then, of course, you leave the truth, which is breaking your oath, breaking your vow you made to God. All right? Well, God will not take that vow back. Please believe I've seen many people die for leaving the truth. Many. And it keeps happening over and over and over again. Sometimes they kill themselves. I pray you understand. It happens. It happens often. And every day, and I think about the people who do kill themselves or die in a car accident. I know they were in a class when someone said, do not leave the truth or you're going to die. And I wonder if they thought it was going to be a car accident or AIDS or they would get shot. I don't know if they even knew that they were the ones who were going to kill themselves. They were going to do it. Never leave the truth because the Lord will not take back the oath that you made, or never come into the truth. Either one is fine, right? If you're not ready for this, and if you're not ready to stay in the truth, even when it hurts, just say, listen, man, I just want to be a student. I don't want to be a trooper. No one will force you. There's people who've been students here for 20 years. Just keep being a student. Keep doing it. But if you take that oath, if you take the oath, the Lord will take it serious. I pray you understand that. In the back.
Sir, can the Lord consider you not in the truth, even though you became a trooper, your officer, and can the Lord still consider you not being in the truth, even though you're still coming to class, you're still in here?
What does that mean? What does in here mean?
Like in the school.
Meaning what?
You still got your name, you still got your rank, but
is that what being in the truth is?
No.
So what does it mean to be in the truth?
To follow orders. That's what I'm thinking. Like you in the truth, you follow orders.
Give me some orders that you are
like to go
order
to camp or go to class, and then you stop going, but you just slacking.
Okay, how about this? You continue to go to camp and you continue to make class, but when you go home, you molest your daughter. Are you in the truth?
Wow.
You continue to go to camp, you continue to go to class, but you rape women, you steal, you lie, you do those things, but you'll be at camp on time tomorrow. Are you in the truth? Yeah, this is not one of those things, Zach. That thing is done in the Christian church, right? You cannot be in the UPK in body only. You can't do that here. You can't be a hypocrite in this school. And when I say leave the truth, I pray you don't think I'm just talking about showing up for camp. That's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm not talking about that. That's the minor part of being in the truth. That's the small part. The smallest part of being in the truth is going out on the street and getting glorified at camp. Ooh, everybody loves that. I don't know who the hell wouldn't. To go out on the street and get absolute glory and dominance over your adversary. When else would you get that? When else? You can't win a goddamn pickup basketball game. You go out there in that court and that young nigga is schooling you. But you're going to go to camp and dominate someone. Some devil is going to get down on his knees in front of you. Who doesn't want that? Everybody wants that. That's the easiest thing in the world, to go to camp and to go to class. But there's a thing that no one sees that's more important. You understand? You can't be a hypocrite in the UPK. You're not only taking an oath to go to camp or to go to class or to wear a headpiece. You're taking an oath to keep the commandments and to die for them. That's why we put our hand on that Torah and we make a pledge to give our lives for these laws. And that applies to you when you're home and you want to have sex with a prostitute, or you want to have sex with some brother's woman, or you want to be a child molester. This is the Christian church. You can go to church every Sunday and you're still considered a Christian, although you're a sinner. If you are a sinner, you have already left the truth. You get my point? You should not be going to camp if you're sinning at home. You should have stopped a long time ago. You're really just prolonging the time when I find out what you're doing at home. And Commanding General Yohana has commissioned me to find out what you're doing at home. Everyone knows that by now, right? Everyone knows that I'm going through your Facebook pages, looking through all of your history, looking at everything you do, hearing everything, so I can find out who is going to camp, who should not be going to camp. Who is coming to class, who should not be coming to class, and then I'm going to kick you out to school to make it final. You understand, right? Solid. Anything else here? Next. One online.
Next one online. So brother says, Shalom Adawan Salakia, if I may, in Genesis chapter 4, verses 3 through 5. Why the Most High did not accept Cain's offering and the general breakdown of the scripture.
Read it for him, please.
Now go on. Look at Genesis chapter 4. Genesis chapter 4. Chapter 4, verse 3. And in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock.
Everybody gets this is way back in the beginning with Cain and Abel and his mother and their mother and father, Adam and Eve. Both of them made offerings to the Most High. But just so you can understand it in a logical term, right? An offering is when you take, the Most High has blessed you, right? He's given you so much. And then there's a portion of what you have that he decides you're going to take and burn. That's it. That portion is not yours. It's his. He wants you to take it and burn it. And this has a very logical purpose. Who can give me the purpose? So now you have a farm and your farm is wonderful. And the only way that farm could be wonderful is if the Most High God gave you knowledge and blessed you with the right weather, the right temperature. The soil was just perfect. You know how many things have to go well for your crops to go well? It's amazingly difficult. It's just like earning money today. That's why the unemployment level here in Phoenix, almost no one has a damn job here in Phoenix. It is so hard. There are so many homeless people in Phoenix because it is very difficult to sustain yourself in this world. It's extremely difficult. Well, imagine you just sustaining yourself off of what comes out of the ground. My God, if it doesn't rain, you starve. If it's too hot, you starve. If it rains too much, you starve. If it's right now, I think there's snow in Memphis. It's cold in places right now tonight that it shouldn't be cold, which means what? People are going to go hungry because those crops that grow there grow in that specific temperature. So there will be people who are hunger because of God's curse that he's spilling out on this country right now. That's how difficult it is to be a farmer, right? So now God blesses you and your farm thrives, but he wants you to give up this. He wants it and he wants you to burn it. He wants you to waste it for him. What is the logical purpose of that? And what does it do for you? I'm trying not to give you the answer, Captain.
So you're basically doing that is showing that you're willing to give up what's important to you.
You're willing to
Sacrifice.
Give him a hand. That's the whole thing. Which is why it's called a sacrifice. God doesn't need your land or your crops or your lambs, precept. He doesn't need it. Every cow is his. Every lamb is his. He doesn't eat your food, so he doesn't need you to burn it. He's burning it just to make you lose it. That's it. And that's why it's called a sacrifice. You are sacrificing it. The people who love him will waste it for him. The people who hate him will say, why should I burn my best lamb, my best cow, my best flock? I'm going to keep it because I need it, because this is why my farm survived. My farm thrived because I have the best cows and the best ox and the best sheep. I can't give up my bull of the first year without blemish. If I burn him and kill him, I won't have a farm. You don't know why your farm is successful then. I pray you understand that. It's not because you have the best livestock or you have the best product or you have the best weather. It's him and him alone. You'll prove it by taking it and throwing it away for him. You're making a sacrifice. Who has it? Gad in the back.
It's like, General, was it Psalms 51?
Let me hear
it. Psalms 51 and verse 16. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it.
That's a good one, not the one I was quoting, but that's a strong one up here.
1 Samuel 15:22.
Let me hear it.
And Samuel said, hath the Lord
hath the Lord as great delight.
Nice and louder.
Hath the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of the Lord. Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of the ram.
Those are excellent precepts, not the one I quoted, but they're all connected. All right, Captain.
John 17:10.
That's not it. Every ram on every hill is mine.
Okay, come on.
You got it, warrior, right here. Do you want to break something out?
If I could, sir.
Please.
This is Psalm 24, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof,
Mm-hmm.
the world and they that dwell therein.
Mhm.
For he hath founded it upon the seas and established it upon the floods.
Not quite, but it could be. You could use it here. It's in the spirit of what I'm saying. Go ahead.
Psalms 50:10. For every beast of the forest is mine.
This is the one I want.
And
Psalms 50:10. One verse above it. Go ahead.
Psalms 59. I would take no bullock out of thy house, nor eat goats out of thy fold. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle upon 1,000 hills. I know all the fowls of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the field.
You understand that? Every ghost, every goat, every he goat, every lamb is his. On 1,000 hills, they're all his. And he knows the name of every bird. Their name. Every last one. Like a owner would name their pets. He knows the names of every bird. He doesn't need yours. He's not taking your birds because he needs them, because every bird is his, and he's named each one. Continue.
If I were hungry, I would not tell you.
And so he's not making you sacrifice because he's eating your lamb or eating your goats. If he was hungry, he wouldn't ask you for food if he was hungry. Go ahead.
For the world is mine.
Read that again.
For the world is mine.
Read again.
For the world is mine.
Go ahead.
And the fullness thereof.
And everything in it. That's what fullness thereof means. Continue.
Will I eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of goats?
Come on. Am I going to drink the blood of these goats that I'm telling you to shed on the ground? Am I going to eat their flesh? No. Keep going.
Offer unto God thanksgiving.
That's what he wants. That's the point of. The point is, this is a sacrifice for you, but he doesn't need it. Everybody understands, right? So now we're going back to Adam and Cain and Abel, right? Read it again.
Genesis.
I'm sorry, Captain.
Like, if I may, is that in the same spirit? You know how the Lord had mentioned, like, he knows all the stars and the planets by name.
Mm-hmm.
Is it in the same spirit of what I'm understanding?
Okay, it's in that part about the birds is in the same spirit, meaning it's just demonstrating his dominance over everything. And so, and why? Let me give it to you so you can understand it. How many times have I had to argue with someone about paying tithes? As if we need your tithes. You think Commander General Yohana needs your tithes? The tithes that you make down there at Arby's? We're going to fight over it? I got to get in this. I'll fight with you over this. What's your tithe? A tithe is 10%. So imagine, imagine we're talking about sometimes $80. $80.
Okay.
$100. If God has blessed you, $100, we can survive without it. We'll be all right. We'll be fine without your tithes. Somehow we existed before you were ever in the school. Somehow, when you were still out there sucking those penises, we were building a school and had buildings and traveling all over the goddamn place. Somehow, without your $20. So, what are we arguing about for? What is the point of this? We don't need your money. So then, why are we telling you to pay tithes? Please don't think that it's for us, because it's not for us. Watch. Just don't pay it and leave the truth. Somehow you'll look up one day and we will still grow and thrive and be on more corners and more TV stations, more than when you were in the school. Paying tithes is for you. It's not for us. I pray you understand that. That's the vibe of it. We don't need this money to you, it's everything. To you, oh man, it's $10 out of 100. This is 10. I never waste money. I always only spend my money on righteous and good things. I didn't make some weed man rich. I didn't make some preacher rich. I don't make every sin that anyone has and sells, I don't make them a millionaire. But when it comes to paying tithes, is a whole big argument and a fight. Just don't pay it. That's all. And you will suffer. Not us. We'll be fine. I pray you understand that. That's the point of it. Go ahead. Yeah, something else.
I was going to say, like, in understanding that the flip side, in hindsight, they don't realize it's actual brotherhood.
Shalom. Like that's the point of all of this. It has nothing to do with someone needing the money you make from your job that you got without a college diploma. You got this goddamn job. You're not a doctor or a surgeon. You got this job with a high school goddamn diploma, and yet you hold on to your coins like they're rare, precious metals, except for when it's time to get high. Then you're free your money. Keep them. Just don't be in here. If you're in here, you better hand over them goddamn coins. Every penny, every last tiny thing, a little bit of money. If you make $5 out there slinging that Santa Claus bell, please believe I want it. Everyone understands. Go ahead. Your corn and your potatoes. Amen. The sage too. Y'all love sage. When am I gonna see this sage, y'all? I keep hearing about this sage. I don't see any sage up here. Where the sage at? I want my 10% of that sage too. Keep going. Go ahead.
Look at Genesis chapter 4, verse 3. And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground. And
so now Cain, when he went to make his sacrifice, he brought vegetables, the fruit of the ground. He brought corn and tomatoes and blah, 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 what the captain was just bringing out. He gave vegetables to God for a sacrifice. Keep going.
Offering unto the Lord. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock.
But when Abel gave his sacrifice, he brought the firstlings of his flock. You know what that means? Firstlings, meaning those young lambs and sheep that are the first ones. Those ones like your eldest ram. The first. Your prime breeding stock. Your number one breeding stock. He brought that to the Most High to kill and burn. Go ahead.
The fat thereof.
The fat thereof is talking about the guts and the innards and everything that's inside the animal. Go ahead.
And the Lord had respect unto Abel.
Now, why did the Most High have respect unto Abel? Because the Most High required Adam to give him a animal sacrifice, not a vegetable sacrifice. Not that, but an animal sacrifice. And so the Most High God was angry at Cain's sacrifice because Cain gave God something that was what?
Like not
worthless. Imagine giving him a bale of wheat, some hay, something that grows out of the ground. You can give up, how much, imagine a field and how much grain or rice you can grow. He takes some of that and gives it to God. Why? Because he doesn't want to give God what is valuable to him. What did Abel do? Abel gave him the first of his flock. Your ram of the first year, your sheep, your goats, your bull, 1 year old, not sick, not lame, perfect. The perfect bull to make you 100 bulls. The perfect one. That one died and he burned it. And God looked at that and respected it because he knew this brother was willing to make the sacrifice. That's the point. Now add that to your life because what happened after this? The brother who was not willing to make the sacrifice, he killed the brother who made the sacrifice. Cain, this is how Abel got killed. This. We're reading about the murder plot. This is where it started. Cain was so angry that God respected the animal sacrifice, which was valuable, and God didn't respect his vegetables, which were nothing, And God didn't like it. And he was angry at the brother who pleased God, angry at him. And he sought to kill him. And this is how Abel got killed, right here. And this is why your mama hates us, and your brother, and your cousins, and your church. This is why they hate us, because we make the sacrifice, Ark. We do it. And your Christians would never sacrifice for anything. Come on.
So I got a question. So on topic, if I may. So what is, if you could break down the spirit of why it's important to be selfless instead of selfish?
Well, this precept is an excellent precept to prove it out. Okay, to be selfish, right? Let me give you the myth. Okay, right here. First of all, right here, how did Cain know that God did not respect his sacrifice? You got to just think, don't think magical. He gave God vegetables. His brother gave God his best flock, his sheep. Then he said, God respected that sacrifice and didn't respect mine, and that made him want to kill his brother. How did he know that God didn't respect his sacrifice? Now, this is difficult unless you can knock the magic off of the Bible for a second, because this happens every day. Every day. And you're going to find out the same way. Brother in the back. God didn't acknowledge him? What do you mean by that?
The brother that like Cain.
You mean God didn't talk to Cain?
He didn't see his work valuable.
How would he know that God didn't see his work valuable? Just say the magic. Just think normal everyday life. This school is the school of universal practical knowledge. This is practical. This is something you need, because God shows you his displeasure every day, and most of you don't notice it. You got two men. They're both farmers. Both of them have what? Crops and animals, right? If you have cows, then you have to have what? Crops to feed the damn cows, because the cows eat grass and they eat hay and they eat things like, and the goats eat the vegetables and the sheep. So if you have cows, you absolutely grow vegetables because the cows eat the damn vegetables. Are you with me, right? Both of them grow the same thing, like every farmer. They grow both because you need both, right? If you have cows, you're definitely growing corn. Absolutely, because the cows eat the corn. One of them gave up the corn, which he has 1,000 acres of. So he gave a portion of corn. What corn? The corn. They're all the same. You get my point? He just gave up some corn. The other one went and gave up his best, the firstlings, his best bulls and sheep and goats. Then the one who gave the corn realized that God only honored the one who gave up his best flock. How did the one who gave the corn realize it? Say it again. Which one? What do you mean when you say increased? He gave up his flock, his best sheep, and then what happened? What do you mean by increase? He gives up his best breeding stock, and he gets more. God bless. Before you know it, he gave up which should have hurt his farm. His farm thrives. He has new sheep, and they're better than the ones he burned. And his flock grows and grows and grows. Meanwhile, the cat who gave up the corn, a plague comes through that infects corn, or mites, or field mice, or locusts, or grasshoppers come. And he loses his corn and his cows. Because when there's no corn to feed the cows starve to death. And then he's looking back saying, I gave up this corn. My farm is gone, wiped out by a plague, viruses and sickness. My brother is over here thriving, and he gave up his best sheep. I kept my best sheep. Why did I keep my best sheep? Come on, logic, practical.
Because it was what was going to make me money.
I kept my best sheep almost. You're right, but get into his mind. I'm not giving up my best sheep, because if I give up my best sheep, then my farm is going to suffer. Isn't that why you don't pay tithes? For the same reason, right? Well, I would pay tithes, sir, but my bills is going behind. Do you see this cable bill? You don't pay your tithes because in your mind, if you pay tithes, your house will fall apart. Because this $10 out of 100 is what is keeping you from homelessness. That's what's doing it. This is it. It's not in that bottle of liquor you're drinking every day. It's not in all of the weed you're smoking or the money you're wasting. No, the tithes is what keeps you from living in a tent. That 10%. Meanwhile, this cat who pays it, he is thriving and growing, and you and he had the same thing. I'm killing him. You understand? That's what Cain decided. Because the fact that God was blessing him said something about Cain that he didn't want to face about himself. It says that really when I kept back my flock and I kept back my bulls, it was just because I'm a greedy, selfish bastard. It wasn't because I needed them to help my farm, which is what you tell yourself. You tell yourself, well, I can give this up because if I do it, then my whole family will fall. Everything will go in. I won't have any money to eat. And then you don't pay your tithes. And guess what happens? You got to call the school for a loan. And then I say a Hebrew word that means la'ah. I say no. Just so you know, too, here's a secret. Whenever your captain says no to a money request, it's really me. I'm really the one saying no. He says no, but he calls me. And then I say no, and I tell him to tell you he said no. I pray you understand. Please go ahead.
It's a sidebar when you said like the magical knock off the magic, right? Like I think like if I could elaborate. In the Christian's mind, like God didn't tell them nothing. You're like when you just breaking down.
Yeah.
He just got blessed and he did it.
Yeah, like Christians, they're magical. Right. So they don't get that Cain is angry because his farm fell. Right. He went into poverty. And you know now with the COVID-19 virus, what can happen now? A plague can come through your farm and all your animals die, mad cow disease, this disease, that disease, and now you have nothing when meanwhile you save your best flock to protect your farm so that it wouldn't fall. Your brother did something stupid and gave up his best flock, and his animals are growing and thriving, and here you are looking at him jealous of him and hateful of him because he's a better man than you. Then it's time to kill him. Everybody understand? Go ahead, in the back, Captain.
That's a lot of reasons why I put this place up today.
Ooh-wee, that's correct. That's why they kill each other today, because damn near his existence proves that I'm terrible. Right? The brother just told me about that brother, Young Dolphin, that got killed in the car coming down here. It was a terribly funny story, but it was still terrible. And that the cops are looking for the brother who killed him, right? And they know he killed him because he did a music video outside of the house where they found the car. And he did the video after the police came and picked up the car. Do you understand what I'm saying? The police picked the car up, towed it away for evidence. He came out days later and did one of them hip hop videos dancing around with money in his hand in front of the house. The police are looking for him. They can't find him. That's once again why he more than likely, if he did kill the brother, because he killed him from being jealous and envious and hating his success and not knowing that he's the reason that he can't have any success. All right. Being a drug addict, of course, doesn't help either. All right. Captain.
If I may, sir, would you say that's the same spirit that Judas was in?
Judas was not quite in that spirit. Judas was just a money-hungry bastard. So he did it for cash. Not okay. Jealousy might be the wrong way to think about Judas. Just think someone who is just a greedy, disgusting, selfish bastard and is going to make money. He did it for the silver. Judas killed him over the money, over 30 pieces of silver. Well, in specific, He betrayed Christ for 30 pieces of silver. The silver is why he did it. The fact that he didn't want to, that he was plotting, that he was already stealing from the treasury, shows you the type of man he was. Then finally, someone offered him 30 pieces of silver, and he went all the way and got Christ killed for it. You get the point. Next, no problem. Online up front. You got it out? Anything? There's some questions the brothers asked me about John the Baptist that I cannot remember. About John the Baptist being something, or Apollos? That sound right to Zaryak? Anything? Apollo?
Sometimes people think Apollos was a Greek person or something like that.
It wasn't that. It was about him not being in the truth, and he followed John.
No.
Oh, no, about him being, we say he's in the truth.
No. Okay, so John, we say John was not.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal in Clubhouse.
That's what the brothers told me.
The Apollos part, I'm not sure what they said.
This one was about John and Apollo. If you don't remember it, it's fine. If someone remembers, just let me know. I believe Mashak gave me the precept for it earlier. I can break it down if you need to. It's in, I think, Acts 18 to show you about Apollo and how and what he was, whether he was in the truth or not. I can break that down for you if this is something you even know what the hell I'm talking about. All right. Anything else? Go ahead.
We got another question online.
Go ahead.
From Mahayaman.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you, sir, if I may ask, can I get a breakdown on 2 Timothy, the 2nd chapter, verses 20 and 21?
All right. Yeah, please, absolutely. Anyone wants to eat, just serve the food up, or you can just let them get up and grab it. That might be simpler, faster. All right, just call them up in rank order. Let 2 or 3 ranks go up at one time. We'll get out of here quicker. All right.
So I got it.
Please read it.
The book of 2 Timothy, chapter 2 and verse 20. But in a great house, there are not only vessels of gold and of silver, but also of wood and of earth, and some to honor and some to dishonor.
Is there a question about this?
Just a breakdown, sir.
Solid. This is read above it. One verse.
Verse 19. Nevertheless, the foundation of the Most High standeth sure, having this seal, and the Lord knoweth them that are his.
Mm-hmm.
And let every one that nameth the name of Christ depart from iniquity.
Meaning this goes to the question the brother asked earlier about being in the truth, right? Anyone that nameth the name of Christ, depart from iniquity. You cannot be in the truth and say that you follow Christ, say that you follow Yahushua, and yet you are living in iniquity, all right? If you're a drug addict, you are not in the truth. You can't be in the truth and you're smoking weed. You can't do that, right? You're living in iniquity. If you're smoking weed, if you're some type of criminal, or you're robbing people or doing those PPP loan scams, you're not in the truth. If you're doing scams, you can't be in the truth and do scams. This is difficult to understand because of the Christian church, because in your mind, looking righteous is being righteous. But in the UPK, being righteous has nothing to do with what you look like. Nothing. Right? Being righteous is one thing, and that's being righteous. So you can't be a credit card thief and some type of insurance loan scammer and yet say you're in the school. You're not in the truth if you're doing those things. You will depart from iniquity. Everybody understands that. Keep going.
Verse 20. But in a great house, there are not only vessels of gold and of silver, but also of wood and of earth.
With that said, which is what but means, right? But in any great house, there are vessels of gold and silver. A vessel would be like this cup, or this right here, right? Or imagine this, a cup or a goblet, right? You have vessels of gold and silver in any great house, but also what?
But also of wood and of earth.
But then you have other vessels that are made of clay, which is earth, right? This vessel is made of clay. This vessel is made of wood. Now, which one is more valuable? The vessel of gold and silver is more valuable than a clay cup or a wooden bowl. And that's in every great house. Keep going.
And some to honor.
Some vessels to honor, right? Go ahead.
And some to dishonor.
And some to dishonor. So then Paul is explaining, even though he just said, whoever names Christ will depart from iniquity. But in every house, you're going to have some people that are very valuable and some people that are not valuable at all. People that are cheap. Some people that are honorable and some people who are dishonorable. That's in every house. And it's the same way in the body of Christ. There are people in the truth right now who I have just not kicked out of the truth yet. But I'm going to kick you out the truth. I'm going to find you. I just haven't found you yet because of my other duties. But eventually I'll just search you out, look for you and find you, and you'll be called to a council. And that's when you'll be dismissed from the school because you are a vessel of dishonor. Are you in the house? Yeah, you're in here for a time. You're here for a second. But eventually I'll get you out of here. And if I don't get you out of here, you'll get yourself out of here. Everybody understands. All right? That's in any great house. That happens. Good to go? Simple enough. Go ahead. Yeah, Kathy, you had your hand up?
I had a question.
Go ahead.
Is it twofold in regards to not every brother will be or sister will be equal as well?
Well, of course, equality is an American term that Americans use to prop up people who are not equal, right? But there is no such thing as equality. Equality is American myth, right? There's no one, anything or anything that's equal at all, right? So this scripture is, of course, saying that this brother is great. This other point, that's a great. Also, if though this exactly this one is made to honor, this one is made to dishonor. This one is great. This one is not so great. This one is doing very well. This brother or sister is not doing very well, and that's in every house. Come on.
So if I was to bring this out to say, if someone asked me like, what should I be trying to, like, most brothers and sisters come and they say, what should I be trying to strive to be? And so would this be a good precept to say, look at the two differences. This is the gold and silver. This is the clay. You should be trying to strive to be the gold and silver and not the clay. You know what I mean? They are in this house, but obviously, which one do you want more than the other?
Absolutely. Meaning, what is your goal? Who do you want to be like? I patterned myself after Commander General Yana. I just went and I know he is gold. So then I just went to start to be like him. And because I patterned myself after him, then I could become gold. And that's in anything. Now, are there brothers and sisters in the UPK who are not trying to be like Commander General Yana? Absolutely. And I'll find out who they are. Right? This is what matters. The standard is Commander General Yana. That's the standard. The standard is absolute sincerity in keeping the commandments of God. The standard is perfection. Now, if you fall short of perfection, you are the wood and the dirt. If you fall short, it doesn't mean the UPK is falling short. You're falling short because falling short is not our standard. What's the difference? The Christian church, falling short is their standard. Like the Christians pattern themselves over being imperfect, over we all fall short. So if you could be the best Christian in the world and be gay, that is not a contradiction. That is not a contradiction. It won't, because the best Christian can have flaws. The best Christian can fall short of the glory of God. The best Christian can be someone who don't cast the stones if you don't sin, or whatever those words that Christians say. He that is without sin, cast the first stone. Being perfect is not a Christian standard. So because of that, you can be a sinner, a thief, a liar, a drug dealer, a child molester, and no one could say you don't love Jesus, because that's not their standard. And here, our standard is perfection. It's keeping every commandment, doing everything right and nothing wrong. That's our standard. If you're not doing it, you're failing at the standard we gave you. Everyone understands. Next. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's the one. I'll get that in a second. If I don't have any questions, I'll get it right now. Come on, Gad. See me one more time, Warrior, please. Go ahead.
Can I get a breakdown on Ezekiel 38 and 3 and 4? Really 4. Where the Most High said to, if I may research, okay.
Please.
Ezekiel 38 and 3, and say, thus saith the Lord of power, behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. And this is the part right here. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. And I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen. All of them.
That's the part I think you need. Just remember that part when you ask the question. That part right there.
Okay, count.
Go ahead.
And I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor.
So if I bring you back, and bringing you back makes you get on your horses and get your army together and put on your armor, then what direction were you going in?
In the direction of peace.
Give him a hand. Right? You were the metaphor is a fish swimming towards peace, but I brung you back to war. Well, now you're getting your horses together and your armies together. The armies together is the part you need to know what direction they were going in. What is Gog? Russia. What direction was Russia going in? Glasnost. Look it up. Glasnost. Look up the history on Glasnost. Peace. Peace. Russia was attempting to have peace. They came out of they abandoned Afghanistan. The Soviet Union broke up. Some of you don't remember the Soviet Union. I remember the Soviet Union. Yikes. Everybody thought there was going to be a nuclear war tomorrow because the Soviet Union was powerful and strong and they wanted war. Then they stopped and they wanted economic prosperity. And to get economic prosperity, you have to have peace. Anyone has Glasnost yet? Please read it.
This is Glasnost is a definition. In the former Soviet Union, the policy or practice of more open consultative government and wider dissemination of information initiated by leader Mikhail Gorbachev from 1985.
That's who did it. Mikhail Gorbachev. I appreciate it, Warrior. Glasnost. They brung down the Iron Curtain. That's what it used to be called. The Iron Curtain. And now they wanted to be, peaceful and talk to everyone and let everyone have information, give them freedom of the press, freedom of speech. And they tried that back in the 80s. They gave it a shot. But then the Most High pulled them back. And now what is Russia now? About to invade Ukraine tonight. Right now, they're sitting on the border with more tanks than you can possibly imagine, about to invade the Ukraine, taking over everything. That Putin, if you get on his wrong side, don't drink or eat anything, because everything you eat and drink has poison in it. Everything. You should just go on a hunger strike and live, because he poisons all of his enemies. Whoever says something bad about him is getting some poison, because now they're back. They're back to trying to dominate the globe, take over the world, and that is going to precipitate the Third World War.
Yeah, right.
You understand? Go ahead.
So put the hooks in our jaw is referring to fishing.
You want to think fishing? A fish is swimming in this direction, but then he bites a worm, and he gets yanked back. Right. So now he's not swimming towards Glasnost. He's going back. Bringing him back makes him get an army together. And that's what you need to know what direction he was going in. If going back makes him get an army together, then when he was going forward, he was trying to be at peace and have Glasnost with everybody. This is more proof that we're talking about Russia. And it's in historical evidence, and you can look it up. It happened in 1985. It happened. All right. The Russia of the 80s wasn't even what you see today. If you watch the news, it wasn't. Russia of the 80s was trying to be nice and loving and peaceful and everything. Now Russia poisons everybody, invades everything, and took over an election in America and put Donald Trump in the White House. Went and interfered in an American election and chose the goddamn president. Chose it. You understand? All right. Next. Online.
Khan, sir, we got a question from Sakan Bayawala.
Mm-hmm.
Shalom Adawan. May I get a general breakdown on Ecclesiastes chapter 3?
Let me know what my times are, y'all.
Second.
My time.
A general breakdown on Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 16 through 18.
Go ahead. No problem.
8:47, sir.
Just let me know when I need to wrap it up or get ready to wrap it up. Solid. Go ahead. Go ahead, break it down for me.
It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 16. And moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there,
Mm-hmm.
and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there.
This is what you need to prove that heaven and hell are conditions on the planet Earth.
Right.
Heaven and hell are not two separate places on two different realms of existence, which is what the Christians teach. The Christians teach that heaven is up in the sky, I guess, with Jesus and clouds and little naked babies, and hell is somewhere deep underground in a whole different realm with, you know, people with raggedy clothing on and fire and horns. That is, of course, a child's myth, and it comes from Greek mythology. It's not true. Heaven and hell are here on earth, and this is one of the precepts that you need to prove it. Read it one more time.
And moreover, I saw under the sun.
I saw where?
Under the sun.
I saw where?
Under the sun.
You need that for the breakdown, Aquafian. I saw under the sun. What's under the sun? The earth is under the sun. There's another Genesis breakdown I got to give you that I just remembered, proving that water is beneath the waters. Something scientists just discovered recently that more proves what the Bible says about creation. Remind me another day, I'll give it to you, all right? So now I saw under the sun, go ahead.
The place of judgment.
The place of what?
Judgment.
Under the sun is the place of judgment. What's the place of judgment in the mind of Christians? Hell. Hell is the place of judgment. It's where you go when you've been judged to be evil. You go and burn in everlasting damnation. The place of judgment is under the sun. Keep going.
That wickedness was there.
And what was there?
Wickedness.
The place of judgment where wickedness is there. Wickedness. That's hell. But where is hell at? Under the sun. That's the place of judgment where wickedness is. Keep going.
And the place of righteousness.
What else is there?
And the place of righteousness.
Read that word before place of righteousness.
And.
Again.
And.
Again.
And.
So you got the place of judgment where there's wickedness. And what else?
The place of righteousness.
And the place of righteousness. What do Christians call that place? Heaven. This place is righteous. And the place of righteousness, keep going.
That iniquity was there.
And iniquity was there too. Where are all these things taking place? Under the sun, Akim. Under the sun. You've been going to church and I guess praying that you die one day, wanting to die, and the Lord has been accommodating you. He's been killing you. You Christians want to die. The Lord said, no problem. He went and killed everybody with the COVID-19 virus. Before that, with AIDS. Before that, with drug addiction. Before that, with being a drunk driver. He decided to kill everybody. Meanwhile, you are praying every day to die so you can go be with Jesus. And you are able to go be with Jesus. No sweat. Here's what reality actually is, though. Under the sun, on the earth, there's a purpose there for everything. Right? On the earth, you can have a place to be punished, and you can be righteous on the earth as well. And in that place of righteousness, evil is still there. Everything can be done here. You don't need to go away to some space place or some science fiction place to be punished, and you don't need to die to be righteous. You can be righteous right here. The Lord said that heaven is within you. You can make this planet heaven. If you don't believe it, you're going to watch us do it because it's going to happen. Keep going.
Verse 17. I said in my heart, God shall judge the righteous and the wicked.
Listen, he shall do what?
Judge the righteous and the wicked.
He knows that the Lord is going to judge the righteous and the wicked. If you're righteous, you're going to make the world a righteous place. If you're wicked, on that same planet, you're going to be wicked and pay for it right there. But the world is surely enough for both, right? The planet Earth is enough place, enough space for both to happen here.
That's right.
Continue.
For there is a time, for there is a time, therefore.
No, slow that word down. Slow it down. Because this is the point. For there is what?
There is a time, therefore.
Slower. Go ahead.
For there is a time there for every purpose and for every work.
What word should you be emphasizing?
There.
Do it now. Do it right.
For there is a time there for every purpose and for every work.
Again.
For there is a time there for every purpose and for every work.
Again.
For there is a time there for every purpose and for every work.
Which is what the Lord is trying to tell you. You've been thinking that I have to die to go to a place where there's no more pain, there's no more war, there's no more evil. And I have to also die to pay for what I'm doing right now. There is a time there for every purpose and every work. You can stay right here on the planet and suffer for your evil. And you can stay right here on the planet and be rewarded for your righteousness. There is a time there for every purpose and every work. Where is there? Under the sun. Everybody understands, right? Good to go. Next. Come on. I think we're good here.
If I may, a precept for that, if I may, sir, would be the kingdom of heaven comes by not observation.
Forget about it. The kingdom of heaven cometh not with observation. You can't just look for heaven and then it appears. You're going to have to build heaven up. You're going to have to work for it, sister. No, that's not true. Judgment is happening right now for those brothers that are going to get shot tonight, and those sisters that are going to die tonight. And I think you heard of the COVID-19 virus. How many years have we broken down to Zaryak? And a person shall want to go into a city and not be able to. Years of that, years of saying you're going to want to go to a city and you're not going to be able to go. And one day I looked up and now you can't go to Canada. You can't. I could barely get down here. I could barely get here. I'm sitting and waiting for them to cancel all the flights down here. Right? You're going to want to go to a city and you can't go to that city. That happened. That happened here. Judgment happens on the earth, which is the point. And Christians need to understand that because Christians run headlong into earthly punishment, thinking that punishment will happen when they die. And they look around and they're in the projects with rats biting their children. Right. And they don't know that you're in hell. It's happening right now. Like if your father is a drug addict and he's molesting you, you're waiting to die for bad things that happen to you? You don't look around at yourself right now? Like, you know how many people are sitting there being molested every night? Their father is drunk beating them. Their mother, my God, their mother is having sex with everyone for money, a prostitute. That child thinks that when they die, something bad is going to happen. Living like that. Living in an abandoned building. As you're living in a tent under an overpass on the highway, are you sitting there thinking, when I die, something bad is going to happen to me? That's a rough situation. That's a rough deal. There's a place here and a time for all kinds of punishment. All kinds. I pray you understand that. All right. It's important to know it because then what does that do to you? It does something that Command and General Yohana teaches us. That empowers you. And you need to be empowered. You need to know that I am living like this and I can change it. I can affect change in my life. I don't have to just wait till I die to go to heaven because here on earth is getting molested every day and beaten every day. So really, heaven is my only reward for living this life. I can change myself and live better. My mother didn't change herself, and that's why I'm here. My father didn't change himself, and that's why we're here. I can do something about my condition on earth. It empowers you to know that earth is where punishment takes place, and earth is where blessings take place. Now you can do something about it. Now you can change. Otherwise, you'll sit and get molested and beaten every day and go to church every Sunday, praying for the day that you die so that you can have peace. So that you can have peace. Next. Young man.
The easiest way to explain Romans 11 to a Christian, I got a little spec going on my auntie, and she,
I hear that.
you know what I mean? I'm trying to get her to understand what this thing is really about, but she just ain't getting it. So I'm trying to figure out the easiest way to help her understand.
She must know my aunts. She must know all my aunties and my mother and everybody I ever grew up with. Let's break it down for the brother. Let me get Romans 11, please. All right. Is there a specific verse, warrior, or the whole thing?
We got to 11, and she couldn't get around. These people are not Gentiles, like ethnic Gentiles.
I got you.
She just ain't feeling it. She deal with a lot of white people, white friends. You know, I feel like it's a conflict of interest to the point where she's just not giving it.
Okay, now give him a hand. And I want everyone to learn a good lesson right now. There'll come a time when, Lord allow, if you're willing to suffer, you'll become an officer and you'll teach people. And you just displayed a trait that you're going to need to hold on to. When you're in a battle with someone, right, sometimes you can get caught up with, how can I make them understand this? And that is a trap. Because really, you are not in a battle about them understanding. You're battling what they will lose if they understand. That's what you're really battling. And what you want to do is know that. You want it when you're in the battle, you want to know, why doesn't she want to believe? Now battle that. You understand? But there'll be a time when you'll think, let me give her Romans 11. Let me give her Romans this. Let me give her that. And that's a trap, because this is not about the scriptures. This is about what she loses if you're right. What it would mean to her if you're right. And because of what it will mean, that is why she can't believe it. It's not because you haven't given her enough precepts. It's because if you're right, it would affect her life in a way that she does not want it to. And now, when you realize that, start going at that. Start going at her white friends, her life. Start hitting it right there. Start talking about her. Now, you think, because it's your aunt, you, of course, know things about her, right? But you're going to find one day you can do this from meeting a person for a few seconds on the street, for minutes. They'll be talking and they'll start to, and as they're asking a question, you're asking questions and you're learning about them in about 5 minutes, right? And as you grow, you'll be able to kind of speed read people. You know your aunt her whole life, so you know her. But there is a skill in the UPK which we could teach you where you'll speed read people. You're like, what about this, brother? What about this? Why you say that? And before you know it, you'll have who they are. And then you'll say, brother, here's why you don't want to understand this. Because you want to have sex with white women. Because you this, because you that. And then now you just start coming at him and the reason that he has to reject this. Because if he believes it, it affects his life in a way that he does not want it to affect. You understand, right? Let's break down Romans 11.
This is the book of Romans chapter 11 and verse 11. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid. But rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles.
Go ahead.
For to provoke them to jealousy.
Of course, now, how many other precepts do you need to prove that these Gentiles are talking about the 10.5 tribes that were thrown away before the tribe of Judah was thrown away? And at that time, we were enemies. I brought this out earlier. We were enemies. We feuded with each other. We hated one another. And then Christ came on the scene and then raised up the Apostle Paul. And his job was to unify blacks and Hispanics. The work of the Apostle Paul, that's the gospel. Have you ever heard that term before, the gospel? The gospel is the knowledge of the unification of Christ coming to the entire 12 tribes of Israel. Blacks and Hispanics, that's the gospel. What you see in the UPK, you never see anywhere. Blacks and Hispanics coming together as one, not speaking Spanish and not speaking English, but speaking Hebrew, unifying under a common language, a common culture. That's the gospel arc. And at one time we were separate and we hated each other. The tribe of Judah hated every other tribe, which is why in the New Testament you only hear the Jews, because the Jews were the only people even acknowledged to be the children of God in the New Testament. Christ brought in the prodigal son. Christ brought in the good Samaritan. All of those are Hispanics. That's it. All of those are the people that we don't want to consider our brothers. But look at how they treat us and how we're with them. That's the good Samaritan.
I bought it to that precept in Luke 15, and she still did not receive that, man.
And why is that?
Like I said, she got white friends.
That's what you need. That's it. Give him a hand. That's it. So you understand? So many times you can get caught up in, let me give her 5 more precepts. Those 5 don't work. Nothing works. You should start cutting her at her life. Talk about the friends. Talk about them. Talk about what you know about her. That cuts her more. You get my point? Is there a part in here? The whole Romans 11, let me give you one. Give me one that just tells you that Paul is the apostle of the Gentiles. And then,
That's verse.
go ahead.
A quick side.
Please.
That's a twofold, right? That precept. Is the Gentiles or heathens, however it refers to them? That's also talking about heathens, right? Like the Lord provokes the jealousy by giving the Lord's like.
Okay, I got you. You can use this to speak about how we're jealous of the heathens, but that is not what Paul is talking about.
Right.
Paul is talking about how we hated each other and were jealous of each other. It's the prodigal son. Right. Remember, the oldest son who was there was jealous of the son that left and came back. Right? We were jealous of each other. The tribe of Judah was jealous of the Hispanics because they were being accepted back, even though they left. And then they began to hate each other, and then Judah left also. And now we're one nation, all of us thrown away, all of us abandoned, all of us orphans. And Christ came to adopt us all back. You get the point. All right, go ahead.
Verse 12. Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles, how much more their fullness?
That's once again now. The Jews fell, and because the Jews fell, now God had reason and cause to accept back the other brothers who fell, the other sisters who fell. Because at one time he threw away the Hispanics because of their idol worship. That's in Ezekiel. They worship idols and they mixed with the other nations. And he threw them away. But he had the Jews and kept the Jews. Much like he told Moses, I will throw away all Israel and start a nation with thee. Well, later on, he did it. He threw away all of the 12 tribes except for the tribe of Judah, some of Benjamin, some of Levi. And then the Jews fell also. So now he had no people. And because he had no people, it allowed him to accept back all of his people. Because he didn't have a people to name himself after. So now if he's going to let anybody back, he can let them all back. It made this whole world rich because we fell, meaning the tribe of Judah fell. Continue.
For I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles.
That's what you need. Paul is the apostle of the Gentile. Paul is a Gentile. He's the apostle from the Gentiles. He's one of them. Continue.
I magnify mine office.
Keep going.
Verse 14. If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh.
Are my what?
My flesh.
Are my what?
My flesh.
Paul said, I am the apostle of the Gentiles. If by any means I can draw to emulation, emulation means to want to mimic someone or be like them which are my flesh. The Gentiles were the same flesh as Paul. It's right here in front of you. I just read it. Now give me what Paul was, please. Romans 11:1. Go back up.
The book of Romans chapter 11 and verse 1. I say then, hath God cast away his people? God forbid. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
Now this is Romans 11:1. So what are we talking about in this Romans 11 chapter? What's the topic? The topic is saving the 12 tribes of Israel. That's the point. The whole point is that this has nothing to do with what. There are so many scriptures out that aren't talking about race at all.
Right.
But you inject race into it because that's your whole life, race. But the Bible is, in many cases, is not talking about race because it's not written to any race but one race. So it's not even discussing race, but you are making it about race because that's the whole reason you have the Bible, so that you can love white people. So you turn it into race when it's about, many times it's about class. Right. It's about the rich and the poor who hate each other, or Hispanics and black people who hate each other, or people who live here who hate people who live there of the same race. But you make it about black people and white people because your whole life is trying to find a way to reinforce your love of white people, even though every day will prove to you that you should stop doing that. Everybody gets it. Okay, come on.
If I could, sir, I should be on the topic of that. Can you break down Galatians 2:29?
Mm-hmm.
Neither Jew nor Greek. Three.
It's 3 and 28, so that's what.
Let me get a question online unless I'm missing one up. Oh, so I'll get you 1 second, boy.
It's like we have a question online from a brother, Shamyar Banyashalu. So, like you, sir, but may I get a breakdown on Ezekiel chapter 39, verses 9 through 12? What does this mean, and can I get the spirit behind it?
All right, you had one though first, right?
Sir.
Go ahead.
This is just on the topic. Galatians chapter 3, verse 28.
Mm-hmm.
There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female. For ye all are one in Christ Yahweh.
Let's start from the bottom. Okay? Start with the male and female. Okay, read that. So we're just going to precept upon precept. We're going to start at the bottom and precept them with the precepts above them. Okay, go ahead.
For there is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither bond nor free.
Are you going? I believe you stopped at male and female, right? In reverse order. Go ahead.
There is neither male nor female.
All right, what is that talking about? There is neither. This is talking about being in the truth. And this thing doesn't matter when you're in the truth. And there's a reason that it doesn't matter. That's all you need. What's the first thing that doesn't matter? Read it, male or female.
There is neither male nor female.
In the truth, it doesn't matter whether you're a woman or a man for one reason, a simple, a practical reason. Why doesn't it matter whether you're a man or a woman? There aren't, meaning because you're a man, it doesn't mean that you don't have to follow rules, or you do have to follow rules that your woman doesn't have to follow. Both of you are affected by one another. If one of you falls, the other falls. Right? What you do affects her. What she does affects you. Because of that, it doesn't matter whether you're a woman or a man. Because, anyone? Because you're both the same race. Right. You're both the same race. So if women want to say, well, that's a black man's problem, the police killing black men, they're not killing black women. So it's not my problem. It is her problem. Why? Simple.
She can't be a black woman or a black man.
Because her son is a man. And her husband is a black man. Her son is a Hispanic man. Her husband is a Hispanic man. So she can't just say, I can ignore things that happen to black and Hispanics because I'm a woman. And if you're a man, you can't say, well, if something is happening to black women or Hispanic women, I don't have to worry about that. Why? Because your daughter is a Hispanic daughter, an Hispanic girl, and your wife is Hispanic, and your wife is black. So anything that happens to black and Hispanic women affects you. So you all have to do the same thing. You all have to be righteous because you're in the same family. So it doesn't matter whether you're a woman or a man. Both of you have the same high standard. Continue.
There is neither bond nor free.
Why doesn't it matter whether you're bond or free? What is bond? Bond is a slave. What is a slave? A slave is the lowest caste of society. They're a slave. They do what they're told. They work for food. They're poor and they're suffering. Who is someone that's free? Someone who is not a slave, right? But if you are bond or free, you're still the same, according to this precept. Whether you're rich or poor, a slave or free, it still doesn't matter. Why? Because you're both Israelites. So if you're a rich black or Hispanic, you can't see black men being killed by the cops and go, that's their problem. Why? Because they're going to kill you too. The cops are going to kill rich Hispanics, rich black men. It's going to affect you. And if you're a poor black person, you can't ignore what the rich are going through. Why? Because you know that there is no chance that being rich will affect your life because they're killing and harassing and firing rich black and Hispanic men. So as you're poor, you're like, well, damn, I thought that I could make some money and maybe get out the hood. I know now it doesn't matter because if I got rich, they're still going to harass me, still going to imprison me. So when you see something happen to, give me somebody rich. Young Dolph, there you go. You see something happen to him, it affects you because you're looking at him like he made the money I hoped to make and it didn't do anything. He's still dead. Why? Because he and I are the same. I'm the same as Antonio Brown and Young Dolph and Bill Cosby. You look at all of them and you go, what? I can't just ignore it because he's rich. Because I'm going to be in jail right next to Bill Cosby. We're going to both be in jail. So they're doing that to rich black men, Hispanic men. I know damn well they're going to do it to me because we're all Israelites. Keep going.
There is neither Jew nor Greek.
And there is neither what?
Jew nor Greek.
And also, it doesn't matter whether you're a Jew or a Greek because you're both Israelites. Jews and Greeks are Israelites. If you've never been to a black college, ask one of them. They'll let you know that black people are also Greeks. They'll tell you that. Just go up there one day. If you can get by the sweat slinging from that dancing, the stink and the spinning and the stinky dancing. I always said I could have never joined those groups because I cannot remember that choreography. I can't do the electric slide, let alone. And I was like, how these cats is in college, how do they remember all that? And how do they put it? That must be a lot of practice up. Them cats is devoted to that shit. Well, guess what? What do they call themselves? Greeks. Look up Hellenists. Hellenists will tell you that Hellenists are Greek-speaking Jews. It doesn't, if you're looking at the people in Greece saying, hey, that don't affect me because I'm a Jew. It does. Because they're going to kill those brothers who call themselves Greek, and they're going to kill those brothers who call themselves Jews because they're all Israelites. All right? Everyone understand. In the back, did your hand up?
There was actually a brother, he's a YouTuber, right? He was in Scottsdale, and an Asian man came up to him and said, this is a no nigger zone. He told him, he came up to him, like, why you walk up to him? Like, why you walking up to me? He's like, because you don't belong here. Like, what do you mean I don't belong here? He's like, this is no niggers. And he was like shocked, like he didn't know.
He didn't understand. Like, what?
Yeah, he was like,
Yeah, come on.
he was just like,
Stunned.
he stood quiet for a minute, and then he turned the camera on him. He was like, and on himself and on him, and he was like, "You're not gonna touch me," you know.
Who said that?
The brother.
It's a strange and amazing time. There was a time he wouldn't turn the camera on. He'd make sure there were no cameras on. Please, moving on. Go ahead. Cortez, go ahead. Exactly. They didn't care about her being a congressman. They went in there to rape and kill her, and she's hiding behind hiding in a bathroom stall, and they're in the bathroom looking for her to rape and kill her. So she sure knows that it matters that she's Hispanic. Oh, that matters. Even though you're in Congress, it still matters. Please believe it. All right, next. Let me get, is that what you have out? Go ahead.
Question from a brother, Sean Yar on Yasharla. Said, Salaki, sir, may I get a breakdown on Ezekiel chapter 31, verses 9 through 12? What does this mean, and can I get the spirit behind it?
All right, go ahead. This the one you called out, Kwam?
No, that's the one that the brother had mentioned prior.
All right, go ahead.
Book of Ezekiel chapter 31 and verse 9. I have made him fair by the multitude of his branches, so that all the trees of Eden that were in the gardens of God envied him.
Yeah, this is about the Assyrians, right? This is that right? Go ahead.
So I think it's Ezekiel 39, yeah.
No,
go ahead.
It's 31 is right there. This
Okay.
is the king of Tyrus that was in the port of
Oh, okay. Tyrus, right.
The beginning of it's like take of a lamentation against the king of Tyrus that was in the garden of Eden.
Perfect.
That's what
This is the king of Tyrus, then, right? You can look up Tyre and Zidon. That's the same thing, right? Tyre and Zidon. That's the same thing. He's comparing it, of course, to the rich families who were around about the garden. This is a precept you need to understand, that the trees around the garden were people. They were family trees. The whole Garden of Eden story is a metaphor. It's a metaphor, just like a lot of the creation story is a metaphor. All right. It's a metaphor for people. It's everyday life lived just like it is today, but put in a flowery, poetic language that lasted throughout generations. But it's real. It's a real thing that actually happened. And the tree is a metaphor for family tree for people. Come on.
If I may, sir, in Genesis, when I was reading it, it says that they were eastward in Eden. Is Eden earth?
Eden is the earth. That's what Eden is. Eden is the earth, and east in Eden is the Garden of Eden.
Right.
The Garden of Eden is the Middle East. That's why it says eastward in Eden. The Middle East is the Garden of Eden. The Middle East is the land of Israel. The land of Israel is the Garden of Eden. Everybody understands? All right. Next. Online.
It's like he had a little bit more that he wanted to
Go ahead.
Verse 10. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, because thou hast lifted up thyself in height, and he has shot up his top among the thick bows, and his heart is lifted up in his height.
Once again, a metaphor for being rich and proud and puffed up. The king of Tyre and Zidon. He's proud. You need this to understand the trees in the Garden of Eden. This is what Adam was seduced by, and Eve was seduced by. The trees round about the garden that looked like if you learned from them, you could become a god. You would be rich and powerful and have knowledge that you don't have now, because they're rich and powerful. And if I learned from them, I would be a god. And this is what seduced Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve's story is a metaphor for being seduced by the other nations. And it happens every day, all the time. The same exact thing. This is what you would, what Adam and Eve did? Let me give it to you in a simple term. Adam and Eve sold out. Just think that. They sold out. They had the Most High God. The Most High God gave them information that he did not give the rich and the powerful. And if they would have endured, they would have been more rich than the rich and powerful. They would have conquered them. But Adam and Eve saw their riches and their glory and the way they lived, and they were seduced into being like them. Adam and Eve sold out, and they paid for it. And we all have paid for what they've done. You understand? Go ahead.
Verse 11. I have therefore delivered him into the hand of the mighty one of the heathen.
Mm-hmm. So now this rich king is about to get into wars that he doesn't want to get in, but he's getting in them because God wants him in those wars so that he can be killed and destroyed. Everybody gets it, right? Go ahead.
He shall surely deal with him.
Ooh-wee. Go ahead.
I have driven him out for his wickedness.
Mm-hmm. This is question or something else?
He wanted up to 12.
Where are we at now?
That was the end of 11.
Go ahead.
Verse 12. And strangers, the terrible of the nations, have cut him off.
This is a good, we used to always break this down for 9/11. This scripture right here. The terrible of the nations, because this is once again a perfect metaphor for America. Rich and powerful and glorious, and they had the World Trade Center, and they gloried in that World Trade Center. You don't remember that, brother? Oh, that World Trade Center. Wasn't it the tallest building at the time in the world? I think it was. They talked about that thing. Like it was just, it surpassed that little tip on the top. I think is what made it taller than every building at that time. It was the tallest building in the world. It was the greatest. All of it. There was one company in the World Trade Center. Somebody in the World Trade Center. Someone found this. This company made $54 trillion. 54 trillion. When I heard that back in the damn late 2000 or mid 2000, I had never heard of trillion at that time. Trillion. I hear everyone say billion today like billion is nothing. When I was a kid, a billion wasn't something anyone said. Billion. You said million because that was as much as you could imagine. Million. Now everyone only thinks billion when they dream. This company made $54 trillion. And everyone died except for the owner of the company because he showed up late that day. That's all I'm saying. And you can go look that up. That cat, they did a 60 Minutes, did a whole story on him. He showed up late and everyone in the company died but him. You can look these stories up on your own time, all right? Anyway, they were rich and puffed up and proud until the Most High sent the terrible of the nations, the terrorists. Terrible of the nations. Terrorists. And then they weren't so proud anymore for a little while. You get the point. Anything else? Go ahead.
Upon the mountains and in all the valleys, his branches are fallen.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. And I think today also is the anniversary of that whole June. What's today's day? Yeah, this is the day when they stormed that Capitol in Washington, D.C. All of those Donald Trump supporters who love the police, Blue Lives Matter, they love America, and they ran into the Capitol and damn near killed every cop they found. And they love the police. They love the police so much, don't they? A lot of them came from this area right here. You know who came from Arizona? The shaman, the June 6th shaman. You know the cat who had the damn horns? He's from here. The cat with the horns who ran into the Capitol. A lot of them were from Arizona and from Phoenix. A lot of them. Because it is a nation of racist white people down here. Good Lord. There's some white people down here that hate. They hate Mexicans like you quite don't understand. Like it's hard for a man from the tribe of Judah to understand how much white people in Arizona hate Mexicans. It is like from the 60s if you're black. Like you got to kind of think if you're a Judite in 1965 Mississippi. That is how they hate Mexicans down here, brother. Like that. Am I telling the truth? He know. You know too. I mean, it's hot. It's like passionate. You understand? Like a passionate hatred that the tribe of Judah really hasn't seen since the 60s in Mississippi. Please,
I was going through downtown one time.
get the brother on camera. Go ahead.
There's this homeless woman out of nowhere. She's like, it's like, go back to where you came from, you nigger. I was like, this homeless woman. I was like, what?
Like, damn, you homeless. You still mad at me. I mean, they hate him, and that old sheriff they had. Come on, give him the camera. Oh, go ahead, do your thing, brother. Go ahead.
You can tell a story about.
Okay, if I could.
Good.
So the first time, right, brother over here was telling, Officer Alfayag was telling me, he's like, I don't know why you give white people, change. Out of nowhere, a white person comes by, we were slaving. I gave him my change, just pennies and coins, right? And he looks at it, he throws it on the ground, and he looks at me, he's like, I wouldn't even let you marry my dog. And then he said, my dog. And then that's
God damn!
he just
God damn! Go, get him, come on.
The brother he was a good brother. He's notorious for always want to help people.
Damn right. Mm-hmm.
So he was always giving his coins. And I said, I noticed that whenever he gives his coins to them, their reaction, he don't notice it, but I notice it. So I said to him, he's out in the world, I was like, that's you giving him coins is beneath them. Even though as poor as they are, that's beneath them. That's what I said to him back in the day. Sure enough, this one time he's like, nah, I'm good. All right. So he had a white man a coin. I mean, a poor man in the side of the street. He looked at it, dropped it on the ground, looked at him like, how dare you give me a coin like you Mexican, That's all he gave.
Go ahead.
He was gonna say what he was gonna say. He was gonna say, I wouldn't let you marry my daughter, but instead he stopped himself and he said, my dog.
He know. I'm trying to tell you. Go ahead.
Tom told me he was out here. He hopped out the car. My lady just came and said, "Hey, you here to cut the grass, right?" So
God damn! Lahar! Give him on camera. Good.
They dress like this.
Go ahead.
Y'all about the car? And so, you're here to cut the trees. I tell her, unfortunately, we're not here to cut the trees. Like, man, I really want my trees cut.
They want to hire you. I mean, go ahead, get him.
And then there's another lady that was coming with her dog, and they didn't know each other. But as soon as we walked past them, they said, I think we're safe now.
Listen, it's okay. People not from here don't quite understand, and Judites, of course, think because Judites think they're the center of the planet and all things revolve around them. So they think they're the only people getting white hatred because it's a Judite trait to think you're the center of all the planet and the world revolves around you, right? But the hatred that the Mexicans are getting in Texas and in Arizona especially, I mean, it's like 1965 Mississippi. It's like that. This is how terrible it is. They're murdering them and killing them, and it's not going to make the news. You get my point? They're going to kill Mexicans, and they're doing it. And there is going to be no uproar. Their children are missing. And they've been kidnapped and killed, and it will not make CNN, just like it wouldn't back in the day. Just like they would kill a Judite back in the day, it wouldn't make the news. They would keep it quiet. And it's happening with Mexicans in Arizona right now. The hatred that they have for Mexicans is passionate and bloodthirsty on a level that most people won't understand. And if for any reason, if you need another reason that we should love one another, let that be a reason. If you need yet another one, let that be the reason. All right. Where we at? We good here? Anything else? Where we at, Corum? Ready to get on? Just make sure I know. Tell me in 5 minutes, all right? Go ahead.
We got another question online, sir.
Please.
From Kamisha, says, Shalom, can you please explain how men should treat their wives equally or bring up some precepts about the matter?
Equally, you got to explain it to me. She might need to give me some background on that, all right? Okay, in general, this is what every sister should understand. In general now, but once again, this is a class setting. I would need to ask Shamika questions about her specific situation to answer that question in a perfect way, right? In general, this is what you should always understand about life. People are going to treat you the way you deserve to be treated. And every sister should understand, because thinking like that does what for every sister? Blow my mind with the answer. I said it earlier. Thinking like that empowers women, right? Women always talk about being empowered, right? Well, I'm going to empower women right now. I'm giving you power. If you want to be treated better, behave better. Do that. Behave better. Instead of thinking, well, what should force him to treat me better? I want my husband to treat me the way he treats the wife who doesn't leave him every week, who doesn't curse him out and call his phone and embarrass him on Facebook. I want my husband to treat me equal to the wife that treats him better than I do. You know what you might find out? He's going to treat her better because she is better than you. That's life. Read my mind. Every great house has vessels of gold and silver and wood and stone. Many women, they'll look at their husband and they'll go, well, he always goes to see her. He's always with her. He never comes to see me. I want him to come see me. Tell my husband to come see me, to treat me equal to the other wife. Oh, yeah. Here's a post I put about him on Facebook yesterday. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you something. This drives me out of my goddamn mind and makes me want to go upside, which I never would. But it makes me want to do something violent. When a sister calls me and says, my husband doesn't call me, he doesn't talk to me. And then the brother calls me and says, she has me blocked. And then I go, sister, did you call me to tell me that your husband won't call you and you have him blocked? And I said, and then I asked the brother and I say, why don't you call her? And he says, she told me don't call her and block me. And then I say, sister, did you tell him that? Yes, I did tell him that. Is he blocked? Yes, he's blocked. So you telling me you called me to get your husband to call you, the same one who you told, don't call me, and you're blocked. You make me want to go upside your stupid head. That's what you make me want to do. I, of course, would never do that. But that is frustrating because how can I get this man to treat you, to call you when you tell him don't call me? That's a rough job. That's a hard mission. Right? I gotta say, brother, call her. She has me blocked. Damn it. Could you unblock him so he can call you? Unblock him. She told me don't call her. Tell him that he can call you. Let me empower you, women. You like power, right? Let me empower you. Your husband will treat you good if you behave good. Your husband will treat you poorly if you behave poorly. You know what? Let me give you something you will understand. A lot of you, your father, right? He left you. And you don't know where he was for years. And then you find out later your father went and raised up a whole nother family. He had a whole different family. And he was with them. He went out and played basketball with them and went to the sporting events with them. And you look at him like, God damn, you never came to see me. And you thought your father was a terrible father, but he was a good daddy to that boy. And you'll be perplexed with it like, damn, I thought he was a no good dad. He was a no good deadbeat dad, but he went and raised up a whole nother family over there across town and was with them. Let me explain to you why that happened. Your mother was so terrible to be around that even a good father couldn't come over there. So he went over there because he's a good father. So many fathers out just said, well, I can't see this baby. I can't, I'm blocked. She's putting me in jail. I can't go over there. I'm a good dad. I'll have to go make more kids and be in their life. And your father is father of the year somewhere 2 towns away. He's like a goddamn father of the year. Meanwhile, in your mind, he's a no good deadbeat. It was your mother. It was your mother. Sisters, if you want your man to treat you equal, be equal to the good wife. That should be easy to understand. Be like her. He's over there because he likes going over there. Damn, is this hard to understand? I could force him to come see you. I could force him. I do that all the time. Mark, it's time to go home, Mark. It's time. You got to go see her. You got to go have sex with her. Mark. I understand. You got to go. Get over there. I could do that. I do it all day. You know what's easier? You could get him to want to come home. Somebody is. Somebody is getting him to want to come over there. Shalom. Next. Go ahead. Let me do the John the Baptist thing. Well done. Well done. All right. Wrap it up with the John thing. Where was it at again?
I think he said Acts 18:25 through 27.
Can you start at verse 24?
Fill go ahead. Please.
Acts 18:24. And a certain Jew named Apollos, born at Alexandria, an eloquent man, and mighty in the scriptures, came to Ephesians.
So now, let me give you the controversy the brothers told me, right? Okay, you know that the Israelite school of UPK teaches that the John the Baptist was not in the truth, right? John the Baptist prophesied about Christ, knew Christ was coming, knew he was under Christ in authority, knew that his movement should end when the movement of Christ began.
Right.
Movement is a poor word for that. His movement should end when the kingdom of Christ began. He taught that. But then when Christ came and Christ began to teach things he didn't understand, he stopped believing in Christ. That's in the Bible. The brothers can break it down for you, all right? So now we teach that John the Baptist was not in the truth. Fake Israelites, you've seen them before. I don't know if you got any out here in Arizona. You got the ones that wear purple, the ones that wear red and white, the ones that wear all white, the ones that love white people, the ones that love Africans, the ones that love white people and Africans, right? They're all over the place. They teach that John the Baptist was in the truth and that you could follow Christ without following Christ. Am I getting that right? I'm trying to understand. They teach like even though they weren't with Christ, they were with him without actually being with him.
Right.
Am I explaining that right or not?
Correct.
All right, done. So they pull up this cat Apollo. They pull it up for right one more time.
24, verse 25. This man was instructed in the way of the Lord.
He was instructed in the way of the Lord. John the Baptist knew that when Christ came, his movement had to end. So John the Baptist instructed him, and he knew. Keep going.
And being fervent in the spirit.
And he was fervent, meaning he was zealous and passionate about his work. Go ahead.
He spake and taught diligently the things of the Lord.
You get that? He spoke and taught diligently the things of the Most High. Keep going.
Knowing only the baptism of John.
Knowing what?
Knowing only the baptism of John.
Knowing what?
Knowing only the baptism of John.
So the fake Israelites go, see, he taught the word of God. He was zealous, and he only knew John's baptism, which means we can live our lifestyle, meaning we don't have to come into the UPK. Every fake Israelite knows that the Israelite School of UPK out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana, all of them know that this is the home of the truth, all of them. But they believe they're able to exist and not be in the UPK. They believe their existence is allowed by God, and they pull this precept because this guy was a great guy, zealous, spoke the word of God, and he only knew the doctrine or the baptism of John, meaning he did not follow Christ. He followed John, but still he was a great guy. He was a man of God and wonderful in every way. And that is true. He did not follow Christ. He was not in the truth. Keep reading.
Verse 26. And he began to speak boldly in the synagogue, whom when Aquila and Priscilla had heard.
This same cat, he began to go into the synagogues and teach. And when he went into synagogues and taught, guess who he ran into? Somebody who was actually a follower of Christ. Someone who was actually in the truth. Read that part again.
And he began to speak boldly in the synagogue, whom, when Aquila and Priscilla had heard, they took him unto them.
They did what?
They took him unto them.
They did what?
They took him unto
Priscilla
them.
and Aquila, these are famous people in the New Testament who rode with Paul, learned from him directly, this brother and his wife. And they would hear this brother in the synagogue and see that this cat had great zeal and knew a lot, knew about the law, knew about the Most High. And they saw him and they took this cat and brung him unto them. Keep going.
And expounded unto him the way of God more perfect.
The way of God what?
More perfect.
The way of God what?
More perfect.
Now he's in the truth. Do you understand? Now he's in the truth. He started off in the fake Israelite group. That was Apollo. He started off wearing purple, ran red and white. You know, wear what? Knowing the law, knowing you shouldn't eat pork.
Right.
You should wear fringes.
Right.
You should not celebrate Christmas. He knew a lot.
It's like, turn off your lights on.
That's the part they had to make more perfect. That part. They had to fix that up. But this cat knew a lot. Aquila and his wife saw this cat is a good brother, man. He's a hardcore cat. Let's take him and really teach him the truth. Let's teach him the word of God. In what way?
More perfect.
A more perfect way, because that is the UPK way.
That's right.
To be perfect. Fake Israelites, you know some things, and that's nice. It's nice to know stuff. It's nice to know not to celebrate Christmas. It's nice to know the white man's the devil. All those things are nice and good, but you lack perfection. You lack perfection. And in the UPK, perfection is our business.
That's right.
Apollo wasn't in the truth. He met this brother and his wife, and then he came into the truth. If you are blessed, maybe one day you fake Israelites will be folded into this nation. Maybe one day your sins will be forgiven, and you'll get to be granted the greatest gift in the world, and that's to be one West. Right. With that, pass the class over. Who's getting it? What's your name, Mark? Amatazar. Pass the class over to pre-call.
Majim, we're going to do one courtesy salute to the general, man of Israel. Majim Shabbat. Majim Barak.
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatham.
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatham.
Sar, turn to sisters. Sisters, we're going to do one courtesy salute. Amajim. Man of Israel. Amajim Shabbat. Majim Barak.
Yahweh Shema Hashem Yahushua.
Yahweh Shema Hashem Yahushua.
Yedi Matah.
Yeah, it's a sister state.
It's
Sister state.
Yeah, I